welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome to our final episode of A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas.
Woo!
Last episode, and yes, we have our moms back with us this time as our end episode.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yeah, this is our first time we're in LA together for an episode, which has never happened, like with Dad. And now they're individually, we're across 3 time zones. Woo-hoo!
Yeah. Spanning across the states.
Yeah.
Jenny's an hour in front of us.
In Colorado.
And then Mom's in Indiana, 3 hours ahead.
3 hours ahead.
Yeah, and it's dark.
Oh,
Yeah. Because yesterday was solstice.
Ah, yes. Yes.
We're daily after the solstice festivities.
It's like, yeah, so we're in the morning after.
Lovely.
But I did not get the nice cabin scene that I wish I was supposed to have. Where's my solstice present? But yeah, so I'm glad to have you guys back. I hope this is going to be a good time. So even though it's a smaller book, so take it away.
Well, so to start, as we have started all of our other episodes like this, what were your overall reactions of the book before we dive into anything?
It was like a very special Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my overall reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it kind of tied up some loose ends from the book before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that little Christmassy episode that they always have to throw in every season of a show you watch, like filler. But it was an important filler, I'll say that.
It's like how they have, it's SJM's typical thing in all of her books where it's like, okay, I'm going to give you some answers through a peace period, but then have you have so many more questions that need to be answered that I didn't have before. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, where's everybody at? Where's everybody going? Okay, I got some answers, but also not.
Setting up for the next parts.
So was there like a fave or least favorite moment then?
I liked the part where they all sort of download for Feyre their solstice history and the history of getting presents. You know, and like after 500 years, what does it even mean anymore?
True.
You know, and how Moore's like, just get this. You know, and then there's some like sort of gag gifting and all of that. So
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
My favorite part was the guy's snowball fight.
So, you and Dad are the same brain cell.
I know. But I like that. That was just to see them 3 just act like little boys was much needed, I think, for them. And I liked it.
Because they hadn't been able to do their tradition all those years under the mountain.
No.
So.
And it doesn't seem like they do it during the war or before the war.
No.
yeah, that was good too. Just so I thought it was weird that it was kind of like a secret snowball fight though.
The secret part of it,
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was all like mysterious, but no, they're just out doing their thing.
And if I'm not that it, like giving an example, but I like think to me it was like them fucking with her. Okay, she's in the circle yet, but we gotta make it a thing where she sees it or something. Like knowing that Moore was going to bring her,
right,
and then them go up to the cabin together and drink,
or just casting as being like just dragging him off of like no promises that he'll come back alive,
making it seem so secretive when it's like I don't even know. I think it was just SJM just being like, I don't want to tell you just yet. I want to like have you see the seed.
I mean, I kind of looked at it a little bit more, I guess, deeper. But it was something for just those 3 to take them back to a time where they had, he had his mom. They were kind of loved. Well, they were loved. They were kind of safe, maybe not as safe as they would be, but it was just the 3 of them together with his mom. That's how I kind of took it. It was just like
kind of
their little cocoon. Not that they didn't mind people sharing, but just for a few hours was just them.
I guess they must have done it back when his mom was still alive, I guess. Yeah. They've been doing it for at least since they've met.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it talked about her buying them presents and Cass was crying for a present that he got. Yeah.
Yeah, because bastards don't get gifts.
Which is so sad.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
And Azrael, who knows what happened with him.
Yeah, so I guess going from the beginning then, I liked how there was a kind of, where is everyone now and what's going on? And, going through everybody, Feyre and Rhysand are definitely being High Lord and High Lady of the Night Court. Getting more into that politics of what they actually do and like the boring shit, I think is, I don't know. It's realistic, but in a fantasy book could be boring to some people.
It's all that ruler shit.
But it's like, oh, this actually, there actually is stuff behind the scenes that they're doing.
Right. And their budget and all, figuring out the budget.
Or Feyre budgeting because no one else thinks that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, just because you have so much money doesn't mean that you shouldn't budget.
Right.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that as like a high court, there weren't like a bunch of parties that they had to do. You know, like formal balls and, all of that. They were pretty just self-contained. Not that like it's not like relevant. I mean, there could have been like, in these sort of court drama, romance things, like usually there's like some shenanigans that go on at these balls that, scheming and political connections, but that's not really what this book was about. So like, it makes sense that it wasn't there, but like in terms of like a whole, like this is the high court kingdom essentially. And normally those kinds of places would have like big fancy holiday balls and feasts and, the gift giving to the citizens in a way.
I think you bring up a good point about that. I hadn't, that wasn't something I considered. I think probably because we came into Velaris as Feyre, and so Feyre wasn't really going to all of these like high lord duty type things anyway, and Velaris was kind of like, oh, it's just a free city, Rhysand can just walk through the city and have save people and stuff like that. It didn't seem very formal.
Well, I think it's also just Rhys, like that's what they said before about how he doesn't like big functions, or it's like he's not someone to host grand balls because that's just not him unless it's like the Court of Nightmare scene where they go and like last book where there's an actual political purpose for it, going to a dance. Or Starfall is like that, version of that where it's like they always do that, but at least Solstice in the Night Court seems to be about very like personal family, very much our idea of Christmas more than like you said, a big ball ceremony.
I mean, royalty.
See what the Winter Court does, which I would love to see what they do.
That kind of makes me think of like Yule Ball or Hunks or something.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They have the Yule Ball. God, how did I not even think of that?
Like something like you'd expect from Hamlin when he kind of took her around and displayed her, and like, the people had to come up and bow and all that happy crap.
Yeah.
You kind of expect more like that in the Night Court, but they did, they don't do that in Velaris. They just, that stuff doesn't bother them. But you would think there would be at least one big formal thing where they'd like show her off or whatever, but it's like, nah, it's just Feyre. We know who she is.
And we've brought it up a couple times where like, especially in this book, you can tell because she's so new, is that there has not been a formal, this is your High Lady, this is what she looks like. They only just know her by name. Because like a few of the characters that she meets along the way, it's not until they hear her name that it's like, oh shit, she's High Lady. Yeah, they don't know what she looks like.
Oh, we've just been talking so candidly with her.
Yeah. But so then obviously everybody else, we get that Elaine is awkwardly the only one living with Rhys and Feyre in the townhouse, and she's living with them, which is still awkward. But at the same time,
she's not really third wheeling though. She kind of just keeps to herself,
off by herself.
She's awkward.
She is, but she's with Newell and Caradwyn. The boys are. It's interesting because Azrael never gets brought up as a place where he has home. It seems like the House of Wind is very much base for anyone wanting to stay the night or something, but not necessarily where anybody is living.
Yeah, not like a personal residence.
And of course, we get Moore's secret little estate, which comes later, but it's like we don't really know where the others stay except Amryn. We know Amryn has a studio, but everyone else kind of just flouts around.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, didn't Cassian say he had a house or whatever in the Illyrian camp?
Yeah, he does. Which I don't know if he's talking about, because part of me was like thinking that he's talking about the mom's house, and then I don't think so.
Because if we remember in whenever it was they first went up, Rhys had to order Devlin to evacuate the house, like to empty it, unoccupy it.
Get them all out.
He's like, oh, it's occupied for my finest soldiers, and he's like, well, unoccupy it then. So, no, I think Cass has a different house. Just somewhere out in the wilderness, probably.
It's his cabin house.
Yeah.
And also remember when Feyre first comes there, they're not all there when they arrive. Like, so it's clear, like, they're coming there, like, for a meeting, an inner circle meeting, right? So it's not like they live there. They just, like, clubhouse. They hang out there a lot.
Yeah, or they stay for like a couple nights when they're all together, and it's like, it was really crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But very much at the top, we get, of course, like any book, we get the kind of recap from before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a new intro to the Illyrian struggle that we got now, where like Cassie and Reese were up in the Illyrian camp, and Cass is trying, which we kind of knew earlier, is that Cass is trying to get the women to fight and learn. But also, we get this new struggle of whispers of dissent amongst the Illyrians about how it's Reese and Cass's fault that we all died, even though they're a warrior race and they put themselves on the line anyway, which is so frustrating. But it brings up an interesting conflict. So I just wanted to let you ask you guys what you thought of that.
I was thinking it didn't strike me as particularly new because there was there was talk before of how, when they would go visit and check in on the Illyrian camps, they're like, oh, what are the women doing? What are the girls doing? So you knew this was like a thing they were trying to do. And so I guess it's kind of an update on that, how it's actually going, but not really going any differently.
Yeah.
And and I kind of thought like the Illyrian soldiers are more like the pawn, I guess you would say. They're like foot soldiers, more or less. That would be in chess, how you send the pawns out first. That's kind of, to me, what they're trying to make themselves, well, they are, but they're trying to exaggerate that fact that, they wouldn't have put, whoever in that spot because they're not Illyrian or whatever. That's kind of what I thought. I mean, yeah, the girl thing, that's always
Been there.
gonna be there, but
yeah, because it added the element of now that, like, because Cass talked about it, how, or am I putting in words together, how, before they only really hated them because of, their parentage or their dubious parentage, but now it's full on like, okay, you sent us to die, we want to kind of overthrow this, or like be by ourselves or whatever, at least some of the camps. So it adds a whole new, the most powerful army in the world, at least in Prithian, from what it's seeming like, is sowing discontent, and so that breeds catastrophe to them, especially since the war is not over in the sense of peace has not been struck yet, which always means that it could arise at any time.
Yeah, and it always feels like obviously they hate Cassian. And so they want to like undermine him at any possibility, and Reese to an extent as well. So it's almost feeling like, well, we're still fighters, of course. Like, we have our pride for that, and of course we'll die on the battlefield. We just don't want to die under your rule, under your order. It was your fault that we went to die.
Yeah, like who was going to expect the cauldron to blow up? No one, and it just happened that they were there. But I mean, and I was thinking too, it's like, would it have made a difference if there were women fighters, Illyrian fighters with men? What would have happened? Because basically you really don't have that many now, none.
They're
So
all
what
young. They're all like 16 or older.
What would have happened if they would have had the women fighting right alongside the men, and then the women got blown up too? would it have made a bigger rift among people? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
What I was thinking in my mind was, I was just like any men, they just be like, it's because they were in there that we were focusing on them, and so like that's why we were.
The women are the distraction. They're the reason we all died.
I can imagine them saying something like that.
Probably with their backwards.
But I mean, I'm just saying, would these people have had more to gripe about had there been women there? Would they have been able to sow that doubt in their, even farther than they already are trying now?
I think so.
That was just something I thought about when I was reading it. Was like, these jerks don't really care much about women. Well, what if they did have them there? They
only care that they're decorating for solstice.
Yeah, would they care that they got blown up right along next to, I don't know. That was just what I was thinking.
So I guess then, before going on, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about the new perspective change, about how this also is a transition book from Rhysand and Feyre's first POV to a more third-person point of view, where we get Cassian more, and even a little bit of Nesta's perspective in a third POV. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
So I listened to the audiobook, not the graphic audio, just the audiobook. I had trouble, because it's just the same same narrator. Wait, whose point of view is this? Because it would switch points of view, but it was third person. And so I'm like, oh, is this Cassian? Is this Reese? Like, so sometimes I'll have to like go back and like, wait, whose point of view is this?
Yeah, because I think that's because I haven't listened to the regular audiobook. You know, in the actual like physical book, it has the name of the perspective that it's switching into at the top of the chapter. And obviously for the graphic audio, you know, I mean, it is all with one narrator in this book for the graphic audio. With the graphic audio, since it does switch to a third person perspective, it all is narrated by the one person, but I feel like that one's easier to understand just because we do still have the voice actors for the different perspectives saying their dialogue.
Yeah, it's hard to tell in an audiobook format. This is my opinion. I do not hold any ill content to the original person who did the audiobooks, but the first ACOTAR audiobooks, like the regular ones, kind of suck. I didn't like the first one, and then it got a little bit better, but also I understand my bias now because I've listened to the graphic, just because it's so much better.
Yeah.
But so I can understand why that would be confusing, because it doesn't also say it in the regular audiobook either.
And it's not the same, it's not a different perspective every single chapter either.
Right.
It doesn't change between each chapter, so that can also be
Well, technically it does, but like then Feyre has a string of just Feyre, but you have to keep putting it at the top.
Right.
Just to make sure no one gets confused.
They should at least add in the normal audiobook.
Yeah. What'd you think, Mom?
I mean, for me, sometimes switching back and forth is a little harder to keep track of, but I think this book did a pretty good job because it actually told you, okay, Feyre's, you know, at the top, it's like, okay, this is Feyre, you know, or this is Reese. Sometimes in other books, they don't do that. So it is kind of hard to figure out, okay, well, who the hell is this? Who's this person now? Unless they tell you.
I get it.
I don't like books that switch. They either need to, it starts one way and finishes that way.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll do it mid-chapter where it's like, okay, wait, why are sudden all in this? Wait, what? But I can't be too much of a hypocrite because Throne of Glass does that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, okay, but...
that one makes sense, but at the same time... that one sometimes does confuse me. I know, a little tangent about, since I'm reading Throne of Glass right now. It does do the switch, but it doesn't have the name of who it's switching to next.
But it kind of does, at least she does a good job of, I mean, this is just my opinion on SJM. When she does do that mid-chapter, she either says the character's name right away, like,
that's true.
Oh, Manon, da-da-da.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going back, or because it's kind of, Throne of Glass is very much a Game of Thrones-esque where, okay, she's over here and I'm up here and they're down there. And so at least if it's in mid-chapter, it's all at the same location.
Yeah, that's true.
Like with Manon and Alid, like they're at the same location, but they might change perspective like at that point. Anyway, characters you don't know, doesn't matter. But it's the idea that it's like two characters, but at least they're at the same location and it's easy enough to see the switch.
I listened to a series over the last couple of years where it was third person, but like every chapter was from a particular character's point of view. And the first sentence would usually say the character's name. So-and-so, blah, 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 you know. But then after that, never said the character's name again. And I was like, if I wasn't paying attention to literally like the first word of that chapter, I would be like, who are we doing? I go, wait, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have to remember to do that sometimes in my creative writing because I write it in in my third point of view, but it's from a character's perspective, and so I'm often just like, he was like this, he. Oh wait, I gotta write his name, and then I have to remind myself who I'm writing about.
Yeah.
Totally. So yes, to all you aspiring writers out there,
keep that in mind.
Or some sort of identifying characteristic or something.
Yeah.
His blue eyes lingered.
Just stick to one, you know, write it in this way with the whole book.
Or write it in first person. Just throw the whole kabang out there.
First person is hard to write in though.
To me, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is it stays that way. That way, as you're reading, you're not trying to figure out, you know, halfway through, we've switched and now we're doing this. It's like, no.
I know this is a little other side tangent, but something about third POV, which I find find so interesting, which I told you the other night when we were talking about the book, was that third POV is very interesting because sometimes it kind of bends time and space rules of like, okay, is this omniscient third person talking in the essence of this scene? Or sometimes even at the end of a chapter, because we were talking about, there was one part where it's like, oh, and they entered this place for the last time. It's like, it kind of almost seems very, I don't want to say prophetic, but
like someone is telling this as a story.
Yeah, like it kind of switches sometimes that's something interesting you could do with third person that you can't do with first person.
Like, how do you know this is the last time?
Yeah, because you know the outcome, this third omniscient person. So I think that's neat. I think it was good getting Cassian, and it was good getting different perspectives and seeing where other people went versus just Feyre and Rhys.
Right. But we're still getting a lot of Feyre.
Yeah, because it's her. I mean, this is her end.
Yeah, it's transitioning from Feyre's
the end of an era
perspective into other people's. So moving on, then speaking of perspectives, we're back with Feyre, and she's like just wandering around Valaris and trying to figure out what to get people for solstice, which considering it's 3 days from Christmas now while we're recording this, I completely understand that. I mean, and Mom, you mentioned this at the beginning of if you've been getting gifts for people for 500 years, what the hell do you get them? So like it's almost like a cliche of Asriel has a drawer of daggers somewhere, and you can always get Amryn jewelry. So I don't know, what were your thoughts on gift giving, finding gifts, Feyre trying to find gifts for her new family?
It seems really daunting. Like, I wouldn't like to be in Feyre's position. I mean, I always think it's hard to find gifts for new people also, maybe that you don't know super well as you know other people. And like you don't know what their giving style is, and I think you guys sort of talked about this in your main episode on this section. Like, people like giving and receiving gifts in different styles. So that's really challenging.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, for Feyre, some of these people have been around how many hundreds of years? After a while, you just walk in and go, oh, a dish towel. Yay. And it matches his eyes. Perfect. I'm done shopping now. I mean, after a while, that's about how you feel. I mean, a lot of people, you have these people that are like, they start buying for Christmas, the day after Christmas is over. You've got, those people. And then you've got people like me who are out Christmas Eve going, oh crap, I still need to get a gift for, so and so. I have like no plan at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I'm in kind of the Feyre boat right now as far as shopping wise. It's like, I'm just gonna walk in and go, like I said, oh, a dish towel. It's brown like Dad's hair, or gray or whatever. Oh, that's good. He needs a dish towel. I'm just throwing a dish towel out there. I don't know why. But.
It's interesting because it is kind of a rock and a hard place, right? Because not only is she, like Jenny said, getting gifts for the first time, but it is also what Mom said of knowing them for 500 years. And it's like, okay, what don't they have? Or what am I supposed to get? Which I think as a first gift, though, I think she's in the clear because they're not expecting some grandiose gift. So I think she's at a little of an advantage.
I mean, at the same time, Asriel was like, are we supposed to get gifts for them? Like, he's in the same place.
For the ladies.
Sorry, for the ladies.
He doesn't want to give gifts for the sisters.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's exactly the same place, but, it's kind of similar of like, wait, we have new people in the family. Do I have to give them gifts?
God, yes. Me and Mom's like understand. I bet you as well, Jenny, when people get married and it's like, okay, they're gonna be at the family. It's like, fuck. Well, I don't know. No clue. Yet. No clue.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then, if you take my side of the family, there's 7 brothers and sisters. There's 18 nieces and nephews. Those 18 are starting to have kids of their own. Some of them have children.
Yeah, already.
And it's like. We need a football field, I think.
Don't even try is the answer.
And I would know. I don't even know half their birthdays. I can tell you the months. Ask me how old they are. I don't even know how old I am. I still have to get out calculator and go, oh yeah, I'm this old. I'm not lying. Ask Tabitha if that's not the truth. Swearing right now. Is that not?
He does.
So yeah.
It's interesting because the older I get, the more experiential gifts work, so like, take me to the theater or a special time more than a thing. Yeah. And you would think It's interesting that that's not in their gift giving repertoire.
I guess because they do. It's so close after the war when they were all together. I feel like if it was years past and they hadn't seen each other in a little bit, it'd be like, yeah, me and Cassian are gonna go to the bar on Sunday night. I think it's because it's too close of a time frame and they've all been in each other's space for that long of a time.
That would make sense. Then I also, what do you guys think of getting gifts for yourself? Because Favor's thinking about that too. She hasn't ever really gotten anything nice for herself. So do you find it hard to shop for yourselves?
No.
Have you ever found it hard to shop for yourself?
Not for myself. I mean, maybe like sometime when like somebody gave me money and I wanted to like use it for something special, like that'd be a little bit more challenging, because then you feel like you have to tell the person who gave you the money how you spent them, like how you use that gift to get something nice for yourself.
Oh, you would tell them?
Or it feels like you need to, or
sorry, it depends. It depends on who it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe. But I always try to, because they don't like, they send you money or a gift card or whatever because they don't know exactly what you need or want or whatever. And so I think it's nice. And like if I gave money as a gift, I'd kind of like, I would mean something to me for somebody to say, oh, I'm going to use this to get my nails done or something like that. Like I was like, oh, that's really nice. And that tells me something about them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not me. I'm the opposite. I mean, for me right now, the hard thing I'm having trouble buying for myself is clothes. I've always had an issue buying myself clothes, but right now it's even worse because one, I don't have my fashion guru here with me to take me shopping.
See, that's an experience gift.
Yeah, I mean, now but for me personally, I'd rather have somebody just say, here's, a $10 gift card for Starbucks. I know you like Starbucks. Or just don't buy me anything. I'm kind of the person, if I want something and I see it, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
the way
hard.
I am.
It's hard. I think that's something that happened as you get a little bit older, It's like, I don't know. I'd rather really not have somebody waste their money and buy me something. Just don't. If you want to do something for me, take me to Starbucks. Buy, that kind of stuff. Want all that other stuff. I'd rather buy my own. Because that way I know what you're laughing at me, but it's true. I get what I want and I know what I like.
No, buying mom anything is hard.
Yeah, I know. I usually am very verbal and I'll actually send pictures. Like, I want this.
God damn it. Mom's the more of this fucking story. The lingerie.
I mean, this exactly with this color.
It's like,
I'll send screenshots and the links to the page to buy it. It's like,
I know. So I know in the main podcast episode, that's what Liesl described what we do in our family, which is like, hey, here's something that I would like, and here's the link to Amazon for the thing that I would like.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
The only reason I was against it, which is not against that, like anybody can do however it's easier for them. I think, to me personally, myself, if I'm getting something for somebody, I think it's cheating. If I know them, if I don't know them, then that's fine. Getting them something off a list is fine. But it's like, if it's like mom, dad, somebody, like even you, if it's like someone I know really well, I should know something, whether or not it's something you thought you wanted or whatever. I'm getting you a JK Blake. That's what I'm saying. It's the level of I know what I will get you. And I think
it's you, Tabby, because that's the way, like my family of origin had a sort of a hybrid. It'd be like general, like, oh, I need socks or, music, or, it'd be very general. It wouldn't be very specific. Of course, it was before the internet, but, and I do like you, Tabby. I want to give a gift that shows that I've been paying attention, and I want to receive a gift that shows somebody's been paying attention.
Yeah.
So like, I don't, around here, I'm like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I don't know.
Right. Because I tell mom this every year, which is so funny. Like, I'm probably the easiest person to get gifts for. Like, everybody knows my 3 things I like. I like books. I like SJM. I love BTS. I like Game of Thrones. Like, there is like a typical quote unquote list of things that people know that I like, that they could get anything of those genres and I'm cool with it. So it's, it's just, I think if it's somebody that doesn't know me, it's fine. But also, I think the worst gift to get somebody, especially if you're plus size like us, is clothes. Because it's just fashion sense can change with different people. I don't know how many gifts I've gotten that I'm like, thanks.
And I know.
Thanks. It's like, I don't want to be rude, but at the same time, also, you have to get her to ask you what my size is. And it's like, because it changes. I don't, okay. Just don't get clothes. Let's just say a funny quip though is like I don't mind getting I don't have a problem getting gifts for myself. It's my bank account that has a problem with me getting gifts.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other thing is I like to get gifts for people when I'm inspired. So it could September or
Yeah.
whenever. And so like if it's getting close to Christmas, then I'll be like, oh, I'll save this for Christmas. But like most of the time I'm just like, here, have this thing I found that I thought you would like.
The random love languages. That was my manager, Hella. She shout out Shannon. She would just give random gifts because she wasn't like a physical huggy, which is like I give gifts by hugs a lot and physical and talking. So getting gifts is not something of a love language that I'm used to. So when she used to do that, I'd be like, because I thought a gift was something so amazing when it was just her getting me red velvet cupcakes as she thought of me while she was at Martin's and getting me like a cherry cake,
Yeah.
Just random gifts out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But moving on, we finally get our first perspective from Moore's perspective, and we're headed back to the Court of Nightmares, where we finally get what happened between Moore and Eris, like the flashback. So what were your thoughts on seeing what Moore experienced with Eris?
This is one of the things where I didn't first realize it was a flashback. I was like, what's going on? Oh, okay. I mean, I wasn't like a long time confused, but it was like a moment of like, oh, wait.
I don't like Eris, and right now I'm pissed at Moore, and I will say that you can delete it, whatever you want to do with that. So I'm angry with her right now because of what she's doing and what she's not telling them about her. It just, yeah. But hearing her, or kind of getting more of what happened to her. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's having I guess a PTSD flashback.
Yeah.
Seeing them and talking to them while they're together. It was like, damn. But yeah, I'm still mad at her. So
because you get like this whole scene of her, especially graphic, especially when you hear like she's on her deathbed, which I mean, again, these are immortal creatures that are easy to heal. So the fact that her dad left her on death's door to Eris,
they nailed what they do. They put spikes through her.
They nailed her abdomen.
It's like Jesus Christ.
And the fact that even Eris's guards or the Autumn Court soldiers were like, "Bro, you just gonna." I'm just gonna leave her here.
And Eris is like, don't touch her. Like, we don't want anything to do with her. She doesn't want anything to do with us. We're just gonna leave her to die.
I don't want damaged goods. But I will say on this reread, I don't know what it is about Eris and Mom, you are totally fine hating Eris. That is valid.
You're meant to.
Yeah, you're meant to. I think he's just he's an interesting character because like we've seen instances of where he has, I don't want to say good intentions, but he has done good deeds, or has fought against whatever with his father. And so I think, I don't know, on this reread, when we deep dived it, I thought he was so over exaggerated in this scene. Like him being over exaggerated cruel.
Yeah, it did seem kind of fake.
There was a reason. There was a reason behind what he was doing. We just don't know what that reason is yet.
Yeah, because
kind of like Jurian.
Yeah.
Did I say his name right? Kind of like him. You're not supposed to like him. He's supposed to be an asshat. But you find out later that, he was actually trying to do something good. I don't know. I still don't like him. I don't care what good he does. I'm not gonna like him.
I think it was because he whispered down to Moore, like out of earshot. He's like, you don't want to be here, do you? And it's like, obviously not. And then he just gets really overtly cruel, which to me was...
Someone's like, oh, okay, so just checking, you don't want to be here. I mean, I assume not. Okay, I'm going to stand up now and be super over dramatically cruel is kind of how it came across to me.
Because if you think of what would have happened is Aaron would have been just as fucking cruel and probably would have killed her too. So was he saving her in a weird way from the horrors of the Autumn Court, it seems? I don't know. That's an answer. That is a question that I have not yet had answered.
Letting her choose to die laying on the ground in Autumn or at Baron's hand. Yeah.
It's like, if she would have said yes, what would he have done?
Right.
If she would have said, yes, I want to stay, what would he have done for her? Would he have taken her away? Would he have hit her somewhere? Would he just toss her at her dad or at his dad and go, here, do what you want with her? I don't know. He's kind of like, in a way, how I think... I almost called him tampon. I'm Sorry, I had that stuck in my head from watching that little video. The fourth wing thing. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I totally went off the rails there, but he's kind of in a way what I would hope Tamlin turns out to be.
Mm.
In a way, but I don't know if at this point, sorry, I got off on him. I don't know if he's redeemable.
Okay.
It makes me want to think that he's related to Lucian. There might be a little redeemable quality in there. Maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's a complicated figure, it seems like.
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
And I think the fact just in general that he's now allied with the Night Court typically suggests that he may not be as cruel as he wears the mask.
Yeah.
Or is he? Like, sometimes people are both.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I think he's a dick. Like, he's a complete asshole, and he has this self-absorbed arrogance about him. But I do think that he wouldn't be that cruel like his dad, to where he would abuse a woman or, I don't know, like force a woman. Like, I feel like there's a line there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should listen. I should go listen or reread that whole chapter again, because, like, it seems, if, first person point of view for more, it would be pretty traumatic, but I don't remember it being, and maybe it's just because I was confused that it was a flashback.
Maybe.
I don't know. But I feel like I should reread it.
It'd be good to read it, like actually see the words.
Yeah.
Or the graphic,
Or the graphic. I mean,
another shameless plug.
Okay, but moving on, we kind of went on a tangent a little bit there, but back in Valaris, Feyre she's been wandering around, and she wanders down to the rainbow, and she's seeing all of the destroyed houses that happened during the attack on Valaris.
Yeah.
Where she meets another artist, Rosina. She's a fairy, and Rosina invites Feyre to come join her.
Her painting studio.
That's what it is, yeah. Join like her painting group. And Feyre ends up not going to the gathering, but instead she sneaks into one of the old buildings that's all boarded up and finally begins to paint. So what did you think of her painting again?
I mean, it seems like she should, and that's always been like a thing where she like goes up and down in terms of like her interest in painting or not painting, and painting is always like a signal that she's healing from something.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's done retreating, and that's her gateway to being herself again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting what she chose to paint.
Mm-hmm.
The picture that she chose. I thought that was interesting. It was like, I guess if you're going to heal, that's the best way to start, is how you really are, or what that mirror showed her that she really was.
The mirror of beginnings and endings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of interesting and telling about her, what she chose to first paint, because I would have thought it would have been the blue-eyed boy or the little boy. That's what I would have thought. I mean, maybe that's what I would have painted had I, because that seems to be the most, when she talks about stuff, she talks about him quite a bit. The little boy that the bone carver showed her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought, she would have painted that instead of, what did Cass say? Is that your new pet?
Yeah, and it's like, no.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, because it sounds hideous, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was just my take.
Which is totally her high lady form. There is no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But
it hasn't, like, there's no confirmation about it, but we're like
it has to be
98% sure that has to be her high lady form.
She's just a hodgepodge of different animals, and like,
Makes sense.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Good point. Excellent point. I didn't think about that.
This is when you think too much about this series. I'm like, okay, so every High Lord has a beast form. Okay, so she's a High Lady now, so that means she also has a beast form. So it has to be that.
And especially now that we're going through it in deep dive, like of specific chapters, deep dives, it's like, okay, now we're just gonna say all of our theories, come up with everything now.
Well, yeah, because we're getting closer to like what we do and don't know, because then all of us are at a fucking standstill about what everything is. It's like, I don't know, you don't know, only SJM knows.
Yeah.
What would Tarquin's animal be?
Didn't it was something of like it could be some sort of sea creature?
Yeah, we saw some fan art ideas of it, some TikToks and stuff where Tarquin's animal was like Leviathan or something.
Oh my god.
Like basically a long serpentine type sea creature.
Not a supernatural Leviathan, Mom.
I was gonna say
no.
Or what way
did I say the wrong creature?
No. The Leviathans
sun.
are different in cultures.
I guess I'm thinking
what was his name? The other guy.
Dick Roman?
No. The other High Lord, the son, or whatever that. The other guy, the one that's supposed to be Lucian's real dad. Him.
Oh, Helion?
Him. He'd be like a horny
eagle.
We saw it. It
like
was
a
like
unicorn, a horny narc. Narwhal. There we go. Like
So at
No.
least from our knowledge, it seems like the solar quartz, so dawn, day, and night, all have winged forms. And then all of the other
The seasonal
quartz are kind of all beast-like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it changes because we haven't seen any of their beast forms. Is it interesting though? I just thought about this. I'm sorry. Is that Tamlin is the one who's always used his beast form?
Yeah.
Which is something like we only saw when they really needed it in a powerful moment.
Right.
We should have known early on that he had nothing. He pulls that out all the time, except only when they were in a dire, death mode where Rhys just like bulked up and, full form.
Tamlin just going beast all the time because he has control issues.
So, side note, I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows, which is, for those that don't know, it's like a vampire comedy. And the vampires, each vampire kind of has, there's sort of like this set of vampire skills. Like there's hypnotism, there's flying, there's turning into bats, just all kinds of stuff, right? But they have different strengths. Some are really good at hypnotism, and the others like, yeah, I never was really good at that. If Tamlin's only thing he can do is use his beast form, like he's not good at the other things.
Yeah, that does kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Use what you got, man.
Use your strengths with the little you have.
The cause.
But I think what's also good about this book, going on, is that it also introduces new characters, but it also lore dumps a lot, which I love lore dumping, just because we know about the book so much, and so it does answer some more questions for me. So what did you think of, we got a few glimpses of her, Emery, the first Illyrian female that we meet ever.
Mary, if you have thoughts, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I love her. She's one of my new favorite characters, and I like the fact that one of the first thing Cassian thinks when he meets her is she should not meet Nesta. Yes, she should, because Nesta needs a friend that's not going to take any shit from her, that doesn't really know her history, that doesn't know her background.
True.
But when they first introduced her, I'm like, oh yeah, she's going to be good for Nesta. That's what I thought. But I thought that was interesting. That was one of the first things that Cass thought too. What they should not. Yeah.
Huh.
She's going to be a powerful person. When I was reading this, I was thinking she's got the potential to be a powerful character coming, like Azriel and Cassian. She's going to be like a female Cass, I guess, or, something like that.
She does kind of go toe to him with in the shop of just not backing down from him.
Mm-hmm.
She's unlike a lot of because up until this point in our series, we have been told that the Illyrian females don't really, there's not a lot of them, at least, who speak out and or are, I don't want to say not afraid of him, but she just brings an interesting dynamic, because this is not at all what we thought the Illyrian females were supposed to be like. And she kind of throws a wrench into that stereotype.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. She's, she actually talks to him. She looks him in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't go in another room or whatever. That's what I liked about her. She's going to be something coming.
But at the same time, she's not really like in your face. Like she's kind of chill. She's not making a big deal about anything. Like she's just minding her own business, running her shop.
Yeah, hers comes out in moments, I think, like at least in this conversation. You're right that she's like calm most of the time, and then it's not I don't think it's until Cass tries to give her more money where she's just like, I don't need pity, and it's like, okay. She comes out a little bit there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, personally I really like Emery. I'm happy I get to talk about her as we go into go through this and then into Silver Flame. But sorry, quick side note. Now I can say, Mom, if you remember my Halloween costume last year, that was Emery.
Oh, okay.
But I couldn't tell you her name at the time. I was just like, I'm just an Illyrian.
well, it's also interesting because Emery's clipped, so it's like
No, that's what I'm saying, because your costume had wings.
Yeah, okay. So there's a difference though between being clipped and not having wings. So it means that it just cuts something in their wing it makes it so they can't fly, but they still have their wings.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is the biggest fuck you, right? Like, just cut off the wings then.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all about a balance thing as well, because then it just screws up. It's like, it's interesting that we're meeting one of the women that we've talked about so many times. And it's also interesting because she brings in a different political, I don't know, I don't say political dynamic, but it's like, oh, she's interesting because her dad's dead, and apparently all the men in her immediate family are gone or dead of some sort. And so she just inherits the stuff because by proxy. And the fact that the men, I don't get them. It's because, like, okay, they don't want her to fight, which is fine, but her even running her own shop is somehow abhorrent.
Right.
It's like, wouldn't you think, why don't you, just a woman, you own a clothing shop? I thought that'd be a perfect thing for a fucking, like, misogynist to think. I don't know.
At the same time, they seem to be complaining so much about it, and yet clearly they don't go in her shop. Or at least most of them don't, because like all the other shops on that strip are sold out, and then her store is completely full.
Yeah.
It's all just shocking.
Also, as a side note, for me, anytime they introduce a new female character, it's like, oh, that could be someone's mate.
Yeah, it's so true though.
I don't get vibes so much from male characters because it's not that kind of book. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like anytime you get, and they say she says her name and more than like a couple sentences about her, it's like, oh, she could be somebody's mate.
Or a love interest of some sort.
SJM saying mates are so rare, and then everyone gets
I'm just gonna go full on mate. That's where I go.
To be fair, for the sisters though, the fact that they are also I'm gonna counter you real quick about that, because I think that because the sisters are made, that they are just gonna get mates by. But then I also think it's because the guys have lived so long that there's a level of, now if they got their mate when they were younger, no, but it's because that they're older that there's a level of, okay, now they're finally getting.
I suppose that makes sense. It took them 500 years.
And remember, we talked about this.
Yeah,
we talked about how, because of the change in the story, about how it's seemingly like, I think that they're gonna start interbreeding in a sense of like, okay, it's not just gonna be high fae with high fae, it's Tamlin could get a human mate of some sort, I think
I pity whoever that is. Sorry.
We'll get to him in a second, Mom, just don't you worry. But before that, I wanted to get to the little lore about Lucian, Vasa, and Jurian. We're gonna get into it a little bit later with the Lucian scene, right? But immediately, what did you think about this new dynamic of, it's interesting because it brings up the human queens, right? It brings up the other threat that is still out there. That the human queens are holed up in their castle. No one has seen them. Azrael can't penetrate it, whatever. And we know that one queen turned fae and she got fucking reverse genied and got old. And but all the other human queens never went into Cauldron, so they're all still human. And then it brings up Jurian and Vasa as kind of this, I'm going to say this because it's my headcanon, as a very much a power couple in the South. Jurian and Vasa is kind of this power couple in the South, bringing up this rebellion of the southern part of Prythian as the rebel queen, but also as a potential king. I don't know,
but at least a general, even though 500 years ago, so the humans don't actually know him, but, they've heard of him. So he was a strong general, and then, a strong queen, potential. I could ship it.
Yeah. And then the fact that Vasa's keeper is somehow, I still don't know, and I don't know, none of us three know this as well. So it's kind of boggles me, and is how the hell did Papa Archeron, whoever it was that made that deal, is that Vasa is still able to, after 6 months, is able to somehow stay away from her captor.
Right.
On this, it's like, it boggles.
I mean, at first it seemed like, oh yeah, I was allowed to come out for a little bit. So I'm thinking like a month maybe, but now 6 months later and she's still here.
And she's like, I only have a few minutes, or like, I have to make use of this time. And I'm like, bitch, you've been here for 6 months.
Yeah. It almost makes you wonder if he's dead.
If something happened.
The Dark Sorcerer Lord?
Yeah. I mean, maybe something happened to him and he really care less if she does come back. I don't know. Maybe he's dead.
I wonder if he died, if like her curse would be lifted or if it would still stay.
Do you think she would lie about that though?
I don't know.
I don't know Vasa's intentions.
No, we don't know enough about her yet.
I mean, it does make me wonder if her maker or whatever, something happened to him or why is he not calling her back? Is it something that is this guy real? Why we don't really know a whole lot about her, is there something about her that we're missing or we don't know yet? And I also thought too, maybe she would be a potential mate for Lucian if things with Elaine didn't work out. I mean,
everyone.
What?
Oh,
No,
okay.
not that I don't want
No.
that to, them to not to work out, but it kind of makes you wonder after all this time if it's like she still is just, well, I have a whole other thing about her. But
Well, me and Mom were on the pro Vasa and Lucian train for a little bit, and then like I saw the error in my ways, and I was like,
I don't know.
nah. I was like,
I haven't thought too much about Vasa actually.
yeah, understandable.
I think we still kind of talk about it a little bit, is we think that, or at least I'll say it as so not to speak for you, sometimes think that Lucian and Vasa might be like a flirty kind of thing, like just to piss off Elaine, to make her see what she's missing out on with Lucian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think personal opinion, Vasa and Jerian are endgame for me.
Yeah. It'd be cool to have some like fucking badass half human Firebird. Like, let's say if that curse never does get broken, and then a human king,
Yeah, that'd be a pretty powerful duo.
Take over, yeah. Fuck those other human queens and then get them out of there. So then the next big scene we get, which I wasn't surprised that we got a cameo for him, but I was also surprised we got 2 in this book. So what did you think of the first Tamlin scene of Rhys going back to the Spring Court, seeing it in like utter disrepair, worse than we'd ever seen it, with no one there, just Tamlin and Lucian prowling the woods for shit. And I don't know, Rhys, how do I say this in the best way? Rhys finally getting a moment to just have at Tamlin, which I think all of us were, at least there was initial reaction of, thank God, like he finally gets to tell him the what for. And then also on the other hand, a little bit of, I don't want to say pity, but damn, it's kind of sad.
I mean, my takeaway from that scene was like just how pathetic Tamlin really is.
Yeah,
it's true.
Like he just like gave up, and I mean, it's like we're saying, like his only power is his beast mode, right? Like he's just so weak.
Yeah.
And like we were introduced to him in the first book, because he was like the only thing, and like Feyre's like, oh, fairy court, handsome dude, like she was so snowed by him. He's in a lot of ways like the weakest of he is the weakest of the High Lords, and why? Because he wasn't groomed for power. I don't know, and he uses that for excuse like the whole time. Instead of, hey, I am the High Lord and I need to be the best High Lord I can be. Instead he's like, I didn't really want this anyway.
Yeah, sure.
I was glad it happened. I mean, Rhys deserved to get that off his chest and to have that confrontation with him. But yeah, was it at a bad time? Yeah. Would it? But there's probably not going to be a better time. This dude's like on a downward spiral that, and in some ways I kind of wished he just would have killed him and put Lucian in there or something, get somebody else in there. But I mean, he deserves whatever happens to him, he's got coming.
So I guess that's the big question that everybody has on their minds about whether or not he deserved, well, obviously from what Mom said of deserving a redemption arc. I think, at least to me, this is my opinion, not talking for you, but we're kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
Is that I think that the only thing that he would get redeemed of is if, let's say, he got killed in some heroic way by saving somebody. I'm going to assume by saving Lucian of some sort in an upcoming battle, or maybe even saving Rhys-Anne. Let's throw it in the time, like, I don't know, him saving somebody else and sacrificing himself, and then, or he could get redeemed and like, I think he could, not want to say redeemed, but I think it'd be, let me take all that out. I'm sorry. 2 things. Number 1, I think I want to see him fuck up the political structure in some way. So that either is him by dying and him and us having to realize what to do with somebody who's not, he has no offspring that we know of, and who takes his place. Or I want to see him fuck up the political structure by marrying a human and seeing how that screws up.
Since he does seem to have a taste for humans.
Oh,
I think, yeah, we're mostly on the same idea about his redemption. Although, personally for me, I don't want to see him die. Like, I feel like if he is going to have a redemption, he's got to keep living. He's got to live it out and suffer through his
mistakes.
the consequences of his decisions. You know, face it like the rest of us. No cowardly death or whatever. So, and obviously he needs to work at it. He needs to earn this redemption. But I think it could be possible. You know, he just has to get through this first, I don't know, century of pathetic
suicidal depression tendencies.
Yeah, waste of space, not doing anything.
Waste of space.
Yeah, you're wrong. You are not.
So I guess what do you guys think about that for the future?
I don't
know.
I have mixed feelings. Part of me wants to see him have a redemption, and part of me could give a crap less. Just get rid of him and put Lucian in there and be done with it. Or whoever.
Fair.
Anybody's better than him. I mean, it's kind of hard to say everyone, deserves redemption, blah, blah, yeah. I get that. And when in some of these books, it's like some people are just so vile that, just burn him up and be done with it. Jakaris him, whatever, and send him on his way. I know, but I'm
Wrong
just
fantasy,
saying,
Mom.
I don't know. I'm torn. His storyline won't bother me one way or the other. If he dies, if he redeems himself, I don't really care. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I can see it go either way.
Mm.
I feel like if he gets, I don't want to see him get redeemed by sacrificing himself. That's too good for him.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Also too easy.
Too
Yeah,
easy,
that's what I mean.
cowardly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like a cop out. Oh, he'll be redeemed because he was sacrificed. Like, yeah, I mean, there's some way you can volunteer to be sacrificed, but sometimes shit just happens, and like he could just die because he still sucked, you know?
Oh yeah, because
save somebody just because he accidentally is in the right place at the right time or whatever.
You couldn't fight before, and you still can't fight now because you had to fucking sacrifice yourself.
Right. But like, what's the alternative? A noble redemption? I don't know. Like, what does that look like?
I don't know. Maybe something like he saves people, but like doesn't die. You know, he actually gets stronger. For once.
Can he kill Baron, please? Because maybe that would give me some brownie points.
If he killed
Baron,
High Lord of Autumn.
But I really kind of want the Lady of Autumn to fuck him up.
Yeah, that'd be a sweet one.
Slit his throat to sleep.
She just needs to beat the shit out of him. What she needs to do.
Yeah.
Like Tamlin, like in order to have this redemption that doesn't involve his own death, like it has to be many different things that build up, like you said, the brownie points.
Yeah. It can't just be, and now I'm reformed.
Or
like,
my
journey.
Or my headcanon of that Rhysand's sister is actually alive and he's protected her this whole time.
Yeah, that would be a big one.
Yeah, but is that consistent given what we've seen?
Probably not.
I don't know. I don't think it is, but I think it'd be a cool culture shock of like, wait, what?
Rhys's sister has just been a mystery. I mean, we've heard more about Rhys's mom than we have about his sister. So it makes me really intrigued.
I just don't think they're both dead. I can't.
And I know it physically said that he saw both of their heads.
They could have been glamored. They could have been glamored.
We didn't see both.
We saw no fucking body. We didn't see the wings either, whether or not Tamlin's cop-out answer of burning them.
Yeah.
We don't have any proof, physical.
That's true. No, we don't know.
So that's up in the air for me.
What if Baron's got her?
Oh my god.
Well, she's already gone then.
In the
I'm
fucking
just
dungeon.
saying, what if he's been keeping her?
No. The best story is if Rhys's sister's still alive, she's like deep undercover somewhere, like on the continent and shit. Probably knew like people.
Or dude, what if she's one of the fucking swans that are on the Dark Lords, and when they free everybody, when it gets to that point,
yeah. Either the Dark Lord, because the Dark Lord, he's the captor, right, of Vasya, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, like, what if she's somehow involved in that whole like deal making, and it wasn't actually Papa Arsharon, it was Rhys's sister.
Rhys's sister is just
a rogue agent.
I'm just totally making shit up.
No, I know,
that's the point.
That's the point. None of us know. So it's interesting.
But still, like, is Tamlin redeemable? I don't know. I feel like he's kind of just. I mean, Snape was redeemable, but he was also really powerful.
Yeah,
He
and
just had
cool.
a fatal flaw of love, right? And like Tamlin just doesn't have any of that.
He is a fatal flaw.
Yeah.
Mom, Snape being redeemable. You have thoughts,
I mean,
Snape, you know.
for me, Snape is like, it's a totally different thing for Snape.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just being honest. I don't really care one way or the other if he has one or not. I really don't.
That's fair.
Unless in
That's
the
fair.
future something
Yeah.
else starts to happen with him. At this point, I don't
Mhm.
care.
He's just inconsequential right now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So,
That's fair.
okay, but so moving on, we're getting closer to solstice. I almost said Christmas. We're getting closer to solstice, and finally everyone's starting to come together. So this was one of my favorite moments, is Cassian and Feyre decorating drunkenly, throwing up all these decorations around the townhouse, just here and there, and Asriel having to come in and fix it, and everything was super playful. So my question is, what did you guys think of the inner circle kind of finally being back together and having all like these fun scenes and family scenes?
I mean, it was pretty much all their other non-serious family scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just shows that they're all different. They all get along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They tease each other the way that loving family does. It's not mean-spirited.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
Yeah, I was like, it's about time that they were able to just relax, more or less. They didn't, I mean, yeah, they got stuff to worry about, stuff that's coming, but it was nice to just be able to just not for a few days worry about some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And just be, be with your family or be, just be.
Yeah.
I think they all needed it, whether they wanted to admit it or not. They all did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was nice to have have moments like that. It's really just a small moment for this one, but the whole conversation with Amryn about her now how she has to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
How she's never had to use the bathroom or eat normal food before.
It's like, I'm being serious, Resand.
That was pretty funny.
And everyone is in disbelief.
I think SGM does a good job of, I don't know, it's characters that we all like, right? Because sometimes with fantasy character, I could give a shit less about some of the side characters, but it's because at least to me, we all like them and I like all of their personalities, that she throws in funny what if questions. Like, what if somebody did have a random question about, now that she's not immortal anymore, but she's Fae immortal, what does that actually mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like she adds in little details that she actually does eat, that she basically is learning how to, and she eats in small quantities, and she actually does go to the bathroom, but then makes it into a funny scene.
Yeah.
Of them talking about it.
In complete shock about it.
Even though it's kind of world building in a way, because like no one would ask random questions except people like us. Does Moore actually have to go to the bathroom? I bet you SJM has gotten questions like that.
Yeah.
And she like puts it in there because it's funny.
So here's a pet peeve about like action movies. You're watching this action movie for 2.5 fucking hours. Nobody eats or pees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, go.
Unless it's like a moment of, oh, they finally found rations after weeks of no food.
Right.
Yeah.
That
And then there's ones like this where they actually like talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, so they do.
Well, she never had to before. Now all of a sudden she has to, and it's like, well, what do you guys? It's like, why are we even talking about this? I don't know.
I think my favorite part about Amryn, at least in this book, was just her and Varian is hilarious to me, because their dynamic is hilarious. I just love how in those first scenes when she comes in, she's like, say hey, like she doesn't even say how everybody is. She's like, Varian's coming, deal with it. I'm like,
it's like her admitting that like she wants him to be there without saying like, hey, can he be here? I met this guy coming.
Ask,
No, she's just like, he is going to come.
He was already there. He was already in the city. And she was just like, he's coming tomorrow. It's like, okay.
Just deal with it. If you make a fuss, I'll fight you.
God, they're so cute. They're cute in that way of at least to us at the moment, they're not mates. And so they're just two people that
they're just
really
lovers.
like
I
each
like
other.
the angry snowball.
And it's
saying that she looked like an angry snowball. That was like, that probably is pretty accurate. Yeah.
I imagine like a big couture, like she was actually pretty proud of that. And then Cassian just like, angry snowball much? And she's just like steaming.
only her eyes visible above the collar of the coat. You see that? I guess, Mom, if you've been listening to our main episodes, I mentioned Angry Snowball reminded me of A Christmas Story when he was like all bundled up in all of his jackets.
down.
Can't put my arms down. Yeah, so that's kind of what Angry Snowball made me think. Yeah, so everyone is gathering now, except for one person, kind of predictable who it is. So Aaron goes to try and find Nesta and convince her to come to Solstice. So I know we've talked about Nesta before and both your opinions of her, but what are your thoughts of Nesta, like right now in this story?
So, I mean, obviously, Silver Flame gets into Nessa a shit ton more, but she's off doing her own thing. She didn't want to live in the townhouse with Elaine and Feyre. She's like drinking and fucking, slumming, right? Like, we know that much. We don't really know why, except like it's kind of just a big fuck you to everybody. I thought it was interesting that, I mean, I said this from book one. I don't understand why Feyre cares so much about Nesta. I don't understand this at all. Right now, like it almost becomes clear, like in this book, about how like it's almost like a point of pride for Nesta or for Feyre. It's like it's actually not that she cares about Nesta; she cares about the idea of Nesta. Like the fact she wants to basically bribe Nesta to show up. And to Nesta's credit, she's like, "Yeah, that's cool, thank you." But I don't know. Those are my initial thoughts.
She's just living in like the one slum of Valaris.
Valaris has a slum, and she managed to find it.
She kind of reminds me of Tamlin. What Tamlin's going through in a way. She's spiraling, but she's spiraling differently.
They're still both going down.
I mean, they both have been through a lot. Granted, Tamlin's was self-inflicted, but I mean, she's going through all this stuff. They just had the war, just lost her dad. They got all of this stuff happen in a relatively short time, and now she's trying to adjust, and she's adjusting poorly, and she's not letting anyone help her. So it's kind of like, and yeah, I agree with you, Jenny, about them two, Elaine and Nesta, as far as sisters go, suck through the whole, and I'm like you, I didn't understand, and I still don't. Why in the hell does she care? She, they could have, they would have starved without her, and they treated her like shit, and they still kind of do in a way. But I mean, she's the sister. I get it, but whatever. But it kind of like, okay, you gotta let her go. Let her, she's gonna be the one that's gonna have to come to you when she's ready. You're just gonna have to let it go. And I don't know if she can. Feyre, I mean, I don't know if Feyre can do it. And Elaine, ooh.
I think Jenny brings up a good point, though, about Feyre liking the idea of the sisters more than them themselves. The idea of them being all together is like something she wants, even though having Nesta and Elaine as themselves are probably something she doesn't want.
Yeah, she wants, I think she has like this image in her head of
perfect family.
Yeah, perfect family. She's like, I don't know, I think we're all kind of saying she likes the idea of them. She wants them to bring them in to be like, okay, now this is complete. I've got my mate, I've got friends, I've got a house, I live in a city that's peaceful, I can paint, and now I just need to have my sisters here and everything will be great, But it also feels like she's looking for their approval in a way more than actually wanting them there. She's just like, hey, come look at this. Come look what I did. Still kind of, because you got to remember, she is technically not technically, she is the youngest sibling. She is the youngest sister. So there is that level where older sisters come look.
So Ianthe was right then, that she always wanted her sister.
Yeah, damn it. Why did you say that? Ianthe can't be right.
Ianthe was right about something? Oh. She's still a bitch, burn in hell. But I think my initial thing of Nesta was, I fucking hated this. I said, this is so bipolar. I was like, okay, we're going from this big, I said it in our episodes too. I said, it almost seems like her and Elaine are switching, or it's weird because Nesta's a person of action. And when there is no action and when it's not like a dire need to do so, she just kind of fucks off. Versus Elaine more comes out in moments of peace than when it's crunch time. Because she didn't really show up at all in the war except for one moment. And so it's because Nesta isn't in like a dire need and nobody else is in a dire need, she's not going to try. And I just thought, oh my God, why can't she just... She was getting like a little better, I thought Cassian, I thought something was going on, and then she just completely knocks herself away from everyone. I think it was the fact that she was so rude to Elaine that it was like, okay, where is this character going? Because I was like, that was the one person that we knew throughout the entire thing that she was semi alright with.
Yeah.
Why is this all of a sudden happening like this?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like she's really mad at Elaine. Everybody, but
yeah, we've never seen Nesta really mad at Elaine.
Same.
Yeah, especially in the beginning, she was so protective of Elaine. Why is everybody so protective of Elaine? She's such a airhead.
What if she figured out something about Aline, about her hiding her powers or something? She's just like, fuck you, you're lying to everybody, leave.
Yeah.
Maybe except for like she has this whole thing of Nesta feels so butthurt about what the cauldron did to her, which sucked. But like she forgets also like what the cauldron did to everybody else. She's like the oppression Olympic. What she suffered in the cauldron was like worse than anybody else's. Like she had no empathy for anybody else's cauldron experience. Blames everybody for everything.
Yeah.
And I did say in one of the episodes that I thought that was her BS excuse because she didn't have another one. Like, I think she's just using that.
Same excuse over and over.
Because she doesn't have anything else, because there is no other excuse. There isn't a war that she can blame on to be like, yep, you roped us into this and now I have to do blah, blah, blah.
It's almost like
so there's nothing she can say. So she's just kind of half-assing her excuses now. But I don't know.
She's scared. She doesn't know how to deal with the fact that she's scared. And she's pushing everyone away.
She never let it.
Because she doesn't understand. Until she can better understand, I think, what's going on with her, she doesn't want anyone near because she's that scared.
Yeah. Because it's, Mom, you're so right. Because she's bringing up not only her sort of, I could totally tell her feelings of Cassian, of her being scared about getting close to him at all. Then not only her powers, because in that little snippet of a scene, you get it that she's like pushing all her power down and trying to fucking conceal it instead of, because she doesn't want, I think, to hurt anybody. Even though they try to make it seem that, oh, their powers are gone, Cauldron got destroyed. No.
Well, it got put back together, so
I've read a book before.
Yeah.
We know how this goes.
They're not gone. And I also just don't think, and I think maybe this is because of my second time around reading it, or probably third or fourth at this point for this book. But I think especially, I don't think she likes being in Feyre's shadow in this dynamic. All the people are friends of Feyre's, and it's like, she doesn't have anybody that she's meeting, or I don't think in her life that she's ever had somebody that she's met that's not, oh, this is a friend of mine, or,
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that about like, so if Nesta's the oldest, but we said this in book one about like, she's the oldest, but all she did was criticize. She didn't take any responsibility. She didn't take any of the like household, feeding and earning money or any of those things. She was just, all she did was criticize, right? And so then Feyre started to rise in her power all along, not only as the provider when she was still human, but like, and then, as she got into the Fey world and everything like that, Nessa's like realizing like she has nothing to offer, right? Or like she's like, there's shame about that maybe, or there's like some really like super buried stuff about like, wait, I was supposed to be the responsible older sister, and Feyre gets all of this attention, she has all of this power, and she's like resentful of it, even though she shouldn't be, because like it wasn't just gifted to Feyre. Feyre earned a lot of it, and a lot of Right. I mean, but even like in the beginning of her story of like being the one who pulled up her pants and did what needed to get done so that they wouldn't starve, like Feyre just did what needed to be done. And like Nesta has never done what needed to be done. She's only ever reacted.
And I wanted to comment on what you said about her not really having anyone in her own life. Like even when they were human, and they had all the parties, it was always Elaine moving around and talking to everyone. It was always Elaine's friends or Elaine's social circle, or now Feyre's family, and I don't want to be with your friends. It's like, really, the only company she has are the guys she brings home.
Girl, I was just about to say that, because even now, like Noel and Caradwyn, Elaine makes friends everywhere. This bitch. Why does she get to, like, I'm pariah, and I'm like, bitch, you kind of make yourself the pariah, though. Like, you do this to yourself.
I'm surprised that well, actually, maybe I'm not, that she finds a bunch of guys every night at seedy taverns.
Well,
like, that's all the company she got.
Though. Like, she's hot and mysterious.
Except for Amber. Amber's about the only one at this point that is just like basically just screw you, or she's letting her get her feels in her way, letting her feel in her way. I guess because Amber kind of knows how she feels, maybe? I don't know. That's why, she does need friends of her own, but who wants to be friends with her? I mean, seriously, if you think about it, would you want to be friends with someone like that? I have been. No, thank you. I don't need friends like that. I'd rather not have any. You know what I mean?
No, with the way
yeah. I mean, I know she's hurting, she's in pain, but she's being ridiculous, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. She's a pouty
Yeah.
little bitch. Instead of just like taking responsibility. Like if she didn't like being, I don't know. Like she has I think it's a lot of shame.
Mm.
And instead of like dealing with like what she should have done or whatever, like she's not even facing what she should have done. But like you just like let that stuff go. Like you decide what you're gonna do going forward, and she's still hiding from it.
Or she thinks she's so already down the line, like, how can I ever be redeemed for this? Like, I'm just going to further myself down the hole because that's just going to be who I am instead of trying to change.
And why does Feyre still care about them so much? We're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an answer.
No.
I think also her blind naivete about it. Like, I think that's her one flaw sometimes. I mean,
yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
You could say Feyre has other flaws, of course, but I think that's her one weakness of just...
No, didn't she promise her mother as she was dying that she would keep them together and keep them safe? No.
I mean, she did, but I thought we rectified
I still
that.
think that's something deep in her psyche that she just still needs to keep doing that. That's why she's striving so hard. But we're looking in, from the outside at her. It's like, girl, why do you even care? These people didn't give a shit about you. You would have been outside starving to death. They wouldn't have cared. They would have went off, found someone to take care of them and left you behind. If Nessa would have had like a Cassian or an Az come to save her, she'd have been like, bye bitches, see ya. She wouldn't have took none of them with her. She'd have just left them there.
Would you also say that maybe she's kind of the princess mentality, though, of like a Cinderella type, where it's like, I don't want to say kill them with kindness, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna care even though they don't. I don't know. I'm not trying to give like an explanation. I'm just saying, like, I think she's got that female princess protagonist energy of just like, that's never not gonna be something.
Yeah.
She does. She's not gonna be like a normal woman where any of us would have given up.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, you can continue.
Yeah. No, these are good. I like these conversations, these tangents. I mean, it's the point of it. So another thing that we wanted to touch on, the moment when Elaine and Feyre were walking around Valaris shopping and stuff, and they went into this weaver's shop. Yeah. Not the weaver, but a different weaver, a Valaris weaver. And they saw this tapestry.
The Night Court insignia tapestry
with extremely dark fabric and silver thread, and something just pulled Feyre to it. So the fabric was called Void, and the string called Hope. What did you think of? First of all, what did you think of that entire scene of her seeing the tapestry and hearing the weaver's story?
First of all, I thought it was very appropriate for Feyre to go into another artist shop. That was on brand for her. So that was my main thought. And then I thought it was cool that the weaver wanted to try to figure out how to make darkness as dark as possible in a textile. I don't know what that means actually, but it's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, one, that she found something that she wanted to buy for herself. I think that's really the first time something ever she wanted something just to have it. But I also think as the lady with the weaver was telling her story, it was like she's realizing, I could have been her. That could have been me and Reese. That could have happened to us and he could have not come home. And how would she have channeled her grief? Would she have done the same thing or done something like this lady's doing? Which I thought maybe I'm feeling philosophy, whatever the hell the word is I'm trying to say today. Philosophical. There we go. Thank you, Jenny, for that, because I can't say it.
Many syllables.
Mom, you're right. It was a very, very layered scene because it was like a multitude of things. It was, okay, yes, finding something she was buying for herself, talking about finally seeing a woman who was affected by the war in a different way. Like, we kind of saw a couple of those instances where we were seeing the plight of the people and what probably a lot of people did have, lost people in their family, husbands, wives, sons, whatever. And it was interesting to see it firsthand.
Hear the story.
And then again, hear the artistic vision that it had for her in terms of being an artist herself herself and thinking, oh my God, yeah, I understand putting so much emotion into an art when like you don't feel like you have anything else. And then it also had to do with the layer of the child thing, about how she said that, which again is a foreshadowing for the end of the book, of the Weaver didn't have anything of her husband's to kind of live on through.
Yeah.
And so she wished she's kind of regretting that she didn't have a child with him. And this is where I get into my big beef sometimes with the book talk and fantasy community, which not everybody has a beef with this, but I do. They think Feyre gets baby trapped in here, and I think that that's stupid, because I think this scene, and also just her as a person, it makes sense for that to be something that this scene is kind of the big point of it, right? Is that she's regretting and thinking, oh my God, like Mom said, what if I was this woman and Race died and I wouldn't have had anything of him to go on? And I don't think there's personally anything wrong with wanting to have a child. I mean, again, it's not like I've been in a widowed scenario, but I'm just trying to say that I have heard from other people who have lost spouses or heard from partners that having a child or like having that connection to them is sort of comforting, even when they have lost their life partner. I think it brings up an interesting real world dynamic that a lot of people don't think about. And I think that it's dumb that it's like, oh my God, she's getting baby trapped. And it's like,
I mean, we talked about it in our episode of baby trapping is like when suddenly she's pregnant, right? Like at the beginning of the relationship.
And then you got to be together.
Right. And then they've got together first. They've been through this relationship. They lived through the war together, fought through it. And now kind of after that, at the end of their story arc,
it's the whole philosophy of we might die tomorrow. So what do I personally want to do with my time? And it's like, if wanting to have a child is something you want to do when you kind of have that mortality thrown into your face, I mean, who am I to criticize that? Or anyone else in that moment? So I wanted to see what you guys thought.
They both have died,
True.
They both have died. They were just see that they were able to come back, and it's like, I think she thought, well, you know what, screw it, because you don't know, tomorrow is not given. He may not be here. Granted, those guys have a little bit, they're not as easy to kill per se, but they still can die. So I don't think it's baby trapped. I just think it's her finally realizing, the Weaver showing her, I'm going to keep going to that because that hit her hard, showing her that baby or that child. She's like, she wanted it then and she wants it now and they want to make it happen. Let them have at it. Good. Because you never know. You just don't know. Tomorrow is not promised.
So what if the baby that the bone carver showed her is not actually their first baby?
Have you listened to our episode?
I have not. Actually, I have not. I just started the 4th episode.
Oh, well then, yeah.
It's running in blood then.
Yeah. What a good question. You should listen.
Go listen to our 4th episode. No, I brought up the exact same thing about that. Maybe we thought that maybe the boy that the boat carver showed was like maybe their last child or something. Like they keep having children until that one.
With prophecy. You can never trust prophecy.
Or their only boy.
Never like this.
Right.
They have a bunch of little girls and then just one boy.
Or it's like only child.
I don't know.
No, you're right though, because I said, wouldn't that be fucking hilarious if it's like it was a reverse Rumpelstiltskin? I want your last child.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to show you your last one, thinking that you're going to get that one, and then no.
Or that's the one that dies, or like it could be anything.
Yeah. That's the one that dies, or that's the only one that lives, or something like
Right.
that.
It could be anything. You can't prophecy. The trap.
Yeah, true.
An indirect prophecy.
But I like that scene because it's very emotional and it's kind of thrown in there, but I also think it's important to her story arc of kind of getting thrown that mortality and immortality, fame mortality, whatever the fuck, in her face.
And Elaine being the one with her when that happened.
Yeah.
Elaine had, okay, again, you already know my thoughts on her, but I thought she had I think it was her good line of everybody asked the Weaver about the black, but no one asked her about the silver thread. And she was the only one to ask about it.
Yeah. And how it almost seemed like the void swallowed the thread, but not quite. It still kind of shone through. One thing, okay, we kind of mentioned this, but one thing like that I appreciated is that the Weaver just told this story to them just randomly, not knowing Feyre was High Lady.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, she's like, oh, that's okay.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Let's like...
And Feyre's just like, I'm buying this. Which honestly, okay, also, sorry, little beginning part of that scene, the fact that it's like, well, this is your fabric that you've created. Why do you want to sell it? And she's like, I don't want it anymore.
I don't want to fucking look at it every day.
Which I kind of appreciated. It's like, well, okay, I've created this, but that's my memories. I'm moving past it. Get it out of here. So I just wanted to note on that.
Yeah. So I'm glad you guys thought that scene. I don't know. Well, also, people will complain about anything, but I will say that's a criticism that I'm kind of like, I will fight a little bit for, because I don't think that there's anything wrong with having a baby in a certain point. Again, I know this is fantasy, and it's like, but I think people have this, which is so funny because it'll be a lot of women too, and I'm like, hilarious. And as moms, you understand this. It's like, somehow people think that in a fantasy book, after somebody has a child, it's okay, they're not badasses.
It's like, no, they become more
like, oh, they're a mom. How could they not be? It's like, fuck.
It's like, oh, she stopped being a warrior. She's just a mother now. It's like, do you realize how much mothers do?
Or have baby gets like shunted over here and like it's not like a thing anymore.
That's true. The mother actually doesn't turn out to be a mother. That is another thing.
So it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone having like a mom, or like a woman having a baby and then still end up being a badass in a fantasy. I think that's a little ignorant.
It's like, it's almost like they think you have to be one or the other.
It's like, no, it's just because, and there are books. I'm not going to, I mean, Mom also knows this because she reads a lot, but also some people do get baby trapped in the sense of like when their relationship, it's just like, oh my God, now we're forced in this forced proximity where we have to co-parent. And it's like, okay, that's not what happens. Like,
No,
what,
I
Mom,
just
were you
have
gonna
a
say
different opinion about that kind of stuff. When you have a baby with someone, you don't have to stay together.
That's true.
You can co-parent just as effectively. You don't have to stay together. You know, I mean, shit happens.
That's true.
Condom break, whatever. You have a magical poof. I don't know, but
Not taking fertility and supplements.
anything can happen. I get that, but these people, it makes it kind of like, oh my God, you have a baby, you have to stay together. It's bullshit. No, you don't. If I don't like you, I mean, I may like you enough to have sex with you, but I don't want to live with you. And if we end up with a baby, well, shit, you know, you figure it out.
And sometimes, right. And sometimes it is also the trope of like a woman gets baby trapped and then the male leaves her. So she's left to be a single parent as well. But she's just pining after the male of like, how could he leave me? Like that's another trope I've seen. And it's like, that's
I don't like
either.
that crap.
They're strong single parents. Like again, it's just a fantasy thing where it's like, I don't can get me sometimes, but
are we gonna have a magical Maury going, you are not the father?
The bone carver comes out of the woodwork again, back from the dead. You're not the father.
Or
we need the
Searle
thing. This is my baby now. Immaculate conception.
Yeah, for sure. So then we're at Solstice Day. We get the cute birthday morning scene, which I really love because it's again, we're not going to get too many face hand scenes because again, they're not the focus of the books going forward. So it's kind of nice to have these little oh my God, you know, she said that she was going to draw him nude one time, like there was a thing from the second book, and now they're doing it, and you know,
she's like, my birthday gift to me, I'm going to draw you nude,
and draws him like in her book that he got her, and it was cute.
Fills it up completely.
And so then, of course, Reese gets pulled for that secret thing that she doesn't know yet, which I thought was hilarious. And then we get the Lucian scene, which I wanted to dive in just a little bit about because Lucian comes, gives gifts only to the two sisters. And it's very awkward because apparently Lucian just got kicked out by Tamlin, which she didn't know going into the conversation. You should have been known better than kick it down, male. Whatever
she wasn't even there. What
it wasn't her fault.
She had nothing to do with that. He did that all on his own.
I think this Lucian scene is interesting in the sense of it brings up a couple things. It brings up that now him, Vassa, and Jurian are actually friends, and he's friends with these humans, and they're called the Band of Exiles.
Sounds like a good band.
Which I kind of had the same reaction of Feyre as I laughed at it a little bit, but then again, rereading it, I was like, let him be on his own. Let him find his own way. Like,
make his own friends that aren't just Tamlin.
Yeah. But then, of course, it brings up the situation with Elaine and Lucian, which is still fucking frustrating, about how she didn't say a goddamn word to him when he walked in. No pleasantry greeting. Everybody
Her
thinks
face fell.
Was I pissed? What she that why she pisses me off to a point where I can't even speak is the fact that everyone thinks she's this very docile, nice girl, and she can't even give a one goddamn pleasantry. So it's not that she's actually super nice.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. Did he do anything bad to her?
No.
Right? Like he hasn't been creepy. He didn't do anything bad to her in the first place. So in that regard, like, her super coldness is weird at best.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I didn't like, where like Elaine is, what, do I owe him anything? And like Nessa's, yeah, you like at least be nice. And like that's such a like socialized thing that women are told all the time is that we have to be nice no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like that. Although given that Lucian didn't do anything to her, like there's like a little bit of something of like, why are you being so rude? There's like the other side of you're just being rude for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
But like also she doesn't owe him anything. Like just because he shows up doesn't give him any rights. So I had thoughts about that.
Well, I can't really go into it. I have suspicions about Elaine that I can't say. Tabitha won't let me say them right now. But no.
She's a lesbian and she's gonna end up with more? Is that
Yeah, well,
That's a new one.
could be. No.
No.
That actually is pretty good. I like that. I'm gonna ponder that. No, but no,
and Grayson is gay. That's why they were the pick.
she was his beard. She was his beard.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can get behind that. I know a little bit about stuff like that. No, anyway, I have suspicions about Elaine that, yeah, I don't think she is how she's portraying herself right now. I think there's definitely more. She's like, what is it? Transformers, more than meets the eye, right? She's got stuff going on that, yeah. But I think right now she's just flat being a bitch to him just because, I mean, they've all of them have been through so much. These poor girls were thrown in this cauldron, turned fae, all this stuff happened, right? Relatively short time, blah, blah, blah. But I think either she knows something more about Lucian at this point. She really, I think, wants to be with Azrael. That's what I think. Tabitha, I know. Make the face. I know. But it makes sense when you first start reading it. Three brothers, three sisters. Yeah, you can see it. And I think it's kind of maybe upsetting her, maybe to some point that she's not, but she wants to be. Does that make sense? But I also think, I believe there's a hell of a lot more to her than what's going on than she's let people see. I don't think she's the dingbat she's showing. And I would like to think that somewhere down the line, her and Lucian will get together. I really do I would like to see that because he deserves it, but he doesn't deserve, Lucian deserves someone good, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I guess my first reaction to the Lucian Elaine, I agree with what Jenny said at the beginning about Elaine, and I said this in our episode, by the way. I don't think Elaine owes Lucian anything. Like, it's not like she owes him his time just because he's been nice. I think, again, like, she's being rude for no reason, and she's not giving him the time of day, but I also think she's not giving him the time of day because she's scared, because she knows, because she feels the tug, and she doesn't like the whole fae mate thing, so she doesn't want to, because she knows if she spends more time with him and she's actually nice to him, that she will get pulled into this thing that she doesn't want to be pulled in, because she does think Azrael is better. Which, again, our own opinions, like, I do think Azrael is better than Lucian, but I don't think...
She's not meant for Azrael.
No.
Okay. They're not.
No, she... So I don't think it's a comparison between Azrael and Lucian. I mean, of course, I've said my opinion a bajillion times. Obviously, I'm an Azrael girl. He deserves better than anyone who has given him anything. But I think it's that, like we're saying, Azrael and Elaine just won't fit together. There's a reason, whatever mother, whatever fate chose, there is the reason that they were mated together. And I just think that they need to find what that reason is, why they're considered equals. But they seriously, both of them, not picking one or the other, despite how much I dislike Elaine, they both need to put in effort towards each other. Because, even if Elaine is being wishy-washy and like, stay away from me, Lucian hasn't been around either. And we talk about that. He hasn't been around. Sure, he brought her gifts, but he hasn't made any effort really as of recently to be like, hey, let's hang out, let's get to know each other.
And I said that the gift thing kind of proves that she doesn't know him, or sorry, that he doesn't know her real well. Yeah. Because the gift he got her was those enchanted gloves, which were nice. But I think that's the one thing about Elaine that we do know, is that she likes to get her hands dirty in the garden. And I think that was supposed to be a thing of him not actually knowing who she is. Which, of course, he doesn't doesn't know because she hasn't given him the time of day and he hasn't been around. So
yeah. So they're both kind of sabotaging the relationship. So they both need to put
It's
more
rough.
effort in.
Yeah, it is.
It's rough.
Unfortunately, Lucian's the only one suffering from it right now, but
I mean, yeah, imagine you found your mate, which, you know, mates aren't that common, right? And she wants nothing to do with you. You know, it's like, what?
that's rough.
You know, I mean, yeah, he could turn and be this stalker guy and like, be following her, worming around after her and all that weird shit. But he's not. I mean, he better find someone, damn it. That's all I'm going to say.
And the person he has to compete with is Azriel. There is no competition there.
No.
Azriel needs to push away Elaine.
He needs to push her away, but the thing is, the fucking sexual tension between them in this book drives me mad. Like, the couple times where he's like, hello. And I'm like...
Because he thinks that it would be good to be with Elaine.
Yeah, he doesn't understand why he can't. Because, I mean, pretty much, something's going to happen here with Nesta and Cassian, So it just makes sense. You would think that, right? Any, following along with any storyline in the book, 3 sisters, 3 brothers, 2 of them are going to be together. It makes logical sense that the third couple would be, and here they're not. And I think they maybe want to be so bad that they're not realizing that they shouldn't be.
It's like Elaine is mated.
Yeah,
like,
whether she wants to admit it or not, she is. But yeah.
Dude, Azriel is like apparently a kinky motherfucker. There is no way that she would not know what to do. Just in a physical standpoint, nothing.
Know. I'm not gonna go there. Just never know.
Hey, I'm just cute. Elaine having sex to me is weird.
Yeah, I can't picture that. Funny.
We get the nice big snowball fight scene of Moore taking Feyre up to the mountain cabin where Moore ensues. And then we get which is so funny because I think the snowball fight scene is hilarious, and also hearing on the graphic was so funny because I just heard like just grown men laughing. And I was like, oh my god, that's what's so much more sexy to me than a love scene. Yeah. I don't know about men having fun or something like that, but it's like grind my gears, man. I'm like, yep, that's good.
Yeah. Men like turning into the boys they are and actually being silly.
See, that's what turns on a girl more than like trying to be super sexy suave.
Buff and
and that's for me at least. I think before I get your thoughts on that, I think my favorite part of that actually was the Birchin scene.
Absolutely.
Because that made it just so much more funny. Because I was like, Birchin. I was like, okay, so that's fantasy word for sauna. 3 naked men sauna. After they were just being really, really cute. And then the furthermore of it being fucking hilarious that he just gets hard at attention in front of the other guys. And they're like, nope, get out.
They kicked him out.
Yep, kicked him out.
And Moore was so excited. She's like, you got him kicked out, didn't you?
It's like, hell yeah, what a power move.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think about those things?
I almost completely missed, it was such a little scene.
True. Mom?
Yeah, I've read this twice in the past days. So when I read this the second time, it kind of hit me. I understood it a little bit better reading it the second time. But, oh my God, that was just so hilarious. It's like, that is such a guy thing.
Yes.
And then you hear his buddies in there, get out. He's beating on the door, trying to get back in,
Standing out in the freezing cold.
I asked our resident dude to be just like, isn't that a straight thing? Being in like a sauna with dudes and it's like, oh, if you get, or like in the locker room, if you get hard, like there's a level of like, they get uncomfortable.
Of like, what turned you on?
Like, was it us?
Did you get turned on by other guys?
It's a straight guy thing to say.
Also, aren't dudes like experienced with like dealing with that shit?
Right? You'd think, right? Especially with beard and all that.
I don't know.
We asked your dad and Rodney was just like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's whatever. But they're also, okay, no. But for Jenny's point though, but don't they like compare, dude? Because
absolutely.
They do.
They absolutely.
But then it's weird. Whatever.
Wouldn't it be better to compare while they're hard?
See, that's the thing. This actually so rarely happens that like men only see porn dicks. They actually don't see other men's hard penises. They have no idea.
Unless they're gay. It's such a fantasy book thing then.
It pretty much is.
Or just a book thing.
I mean, are you a shower? Are you a grower?
Exactly. Just comparing flaccid penises and they had like, it's not representative.
I didn't even.
So it would be better to compare while
I didn't even know what that meant until college. I did not know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you had brothers, the situation would be a little bit different, but just a bunch of random, you and your buddies sitting around. I don't
I mean,
Yeah.
some buddies do that, right?
Yeah, somebody do.
In some
I
of the MM books I've read, yeah, they do, but that's
Mhm.
kind of a different little spin there. But
I think the straightest guys can also be the most have gay tendencies,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes. Yeah,
I mean, because it also is like they're so like confident in their straightness that they're like, oh, this absolutely means nothing if we're showing each other our dicks.
yeah.
But
Anyway, that was a good scene, but
it was such a short scene, and to follow a beautiful snowball fight, which I'm just happy that they got to do that. But finally, we're back in Valaris, and it is solstice evening, so all of the festivities are officially beginning. To start us off, we're opening presents. We're finally seeing what everyone got everyone, exchanging everything. I guess what do you think of the presents that we see given? I mean, the main one Cassian giving more lingerie that she specifically told him which ones to get.
Hilarious.
They were having paintings.
Yeah.
And so what were your initial thoughts on the gift giving scene?
So I kind of, in the lead up to this, like we knew that everyone was like shopping, and they kind of like talked about what their gift giving history and philosophy was, but we didn't actually know what the final gifts were until everybody opens their presents. So I kind of like,
I think I most relate to more. That's me. It's like,
yeah,
that's me. But I mean, as far as like me giving gifts, I like to think I'd be more like Feyre. Give that personal. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think it just depends on who I'm buying for and the mood I'm in when I'm shopping. If I'm peopled out, just like I said, dish towels and I'm done. But if I actually have time and thought into it, I'd like to think I was more, thoughtful, I guess, in my gifting. But I mean, I like the fact that everybody gave Amryn something shiny.
I mean, they know what she likes, man. Like,
I know. I mean, you can respect somebody that's like, you know what they like.
Varian probably gave her something else.
I was interested though to see what Varian got her because I don't think it was jewels.
Maybe it could have been like one piece of jewelry, but I feel like he would have gotten something else.
I think Varian would be the note type of guy to write her something beautiful.
Maybe, or they just spend the day together. I found it kind of funny, actually. This just popped into my head. The fact that Rhys had to hide all the gifts because
yeah, that was funny.
Shaking the boxes like a child, trying to figure out what's in there, and Cassian snooping and
Sniffing them.
Yes. Sniffing them. It's like, ew. That's funny. That was pretty good.
So I wonder if they have so I used to do this when I was younger in my family, is like try to sort of disguise or mislead.
Oh yeah.
So either by putting in a really big box something that was little, or making sure like it didn't rattle or it rattled extra, or what. I wonder if they ever did that.
Oh, I feel like for sure.
Smell like a dead squirrel tail.
Over the years, they probably did a bunch of gag gifts.
Probably, and a bunch of pranks too.
Yeah.
Especially when you do a white elephant, that's kind of the shtick, isn't it? To deceive, to make it look big when it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
A common white elephant gif I've seen is, in terms of a gag gif, it's like a really big box and a smaller box and keep getting smaller until it's this minuscule little box.
It's like never go big.
Yeah.
In a white elephant.
Yeah.
Anyway, so gift giving, super great. I love the flirting, the subtle flirting of Amryn and Varian. That's adorable. We kind of mentioned that.
Oh yeah, the romance bits.
Yeah, they're super sweet. You touched on, Mary, you touched on Cassian's comments about Feyre's painting, wondering if it's a new pet.
Well, I think my favorite moment of that scene was when Feyre comes out and Rhys is like, and then Amryn like kicks him like really hard, and she's just like, "Rain that scent of yours in, boy." She's gonna vomit.
She's probably making the same googly eyes at Varian.
Anyway,
Yeah.
she hides her scent, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Or maybe it doesn't show for her. I don't know, because of what she is. I wanted to ask you guys what you thought Elaine giving a gift to Asriel.
The headache medicine.
Yeah, that little exchange,
The gift together? Like when they talk?
Yeah, I guess that kind of whole scene of Asriel suddenly being like super quiet and being like, "I got you a gift too."
He didn't get her a gift.
Didn't he?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
He didn't get her anything.
I'm thinking of Lucian's.
Yeah, it was Lucian's gift,
Never
and
mind.
then Elaine got Asriel something.
But then, everything is super fun, everything's great, and then we hear a knock on the door, and it's the only person left who was invited and hadn't shown. So Nesta and was pulled in, and she kind of just sat there. What do you think of the fact that she actually showed up?
It's a big question as to why she showed up.
What would be your answer?
I mean, yeah.
I guess my answer would be so that they can't lord it over her later.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. He would hate that.
Because especially since she didn't really like she just showed up like mostly in principle.
Mm,
Mhm.
She wasn't there very long and she didn't really do anything. She just like ticked the box. See, I
yeah.
showed up.
Mhm.
I think part of her wanted to be there to try to fit in, and the other part just had no clue. And when she couldn't figure out what to do, she just said, screw it, and left.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think deep down she really wants to be with them. She just can't yet. She's not quite
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
We can't figure it out how to interact with them properly.
Yeah, she
'Cause I
has no
think-
clue.
I think she was actually enjoying herself in the way she could enjoy something, but I don't think it was until Elaine stopped fully attention on her and started laughing with the others that she fully felt left out.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't get these references because I'm not around, so I don't get these funny. It's like when you bring a friend to a family gathering and it's like, well, I don't get all these funny references you make because I don't know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, in her case, it's just because she hasn't been there. It's not anybody else's fault but her.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah, so eventually, well, she did get a gift. Elaine got her book.
Yeah.
So she probably wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that.
Slutty books.
I love to give her smutty books.
She's a smut reader.
For sure.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with that.
And
Makes
he-
her more relatable.
Literally all of us.
Sarah had to make her relatable in one way, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, she finally decides she's had enough. She leaves. I found it curious how she left without actually collecting the rent money that she was promised.
She was about to walk out without it, and then
Yeah,
it's like
and-
Feyre that has to remind her to do so.
Yeah, which she takes and then just leaves. And then we have the Cassian Nesta scene. Cassian follows after her and is just like, "Hey, I got you something." He got her a gift. So first of all, overall reactions to this interaction between Cassian and Nesta.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
Long overdue. This needed to happen a long time ago.
Yeah, because they'd gone 6 months without seeing and talking to each other.
Which literally the last time they saw each other, well, technically the last big scene they had together was the dying together, saying they would die together, and the kiss.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
kissed
her
him the last
laying
big-
on top of him, basically.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then she goes from kissing him and his declaration of basically almost a confession, and then they go to complete radio silence.
I mean, I felt bad for him that she's been treating him like that.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I get it. She's gone through this, but it's like, I don't know. She's taken it, I think, too far in some ways, and especially pushing him away.
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm just glad that when she did show up, she didn't ruin everything.
Yeah.
I mean, her staying quiet was probably one of the best things she could do. You know what I mean?
True.
Instead of opening your mouth and God knows what she'd spew.
Souring everyone's night.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah, I
point.
think that was long overdue. They should have talked even before all of this.
I think, yes, it was totally like a long overdue scene. And also, like, I think that's why she is frightened by him, because, like, he'll actually push her to ask those questions and be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you? Why can you not try or something? And then, she gets triggered by that. And then, especially that gift, it just hurts because it's like, he wanted to give it to her personally because at every point, especially when we see him in his third POV, he is thinking so much about her. Like, the slips on the ice. He wants to make sure she's not cold, or like, he wants to walk her home, like very
Make sure she gets
chivalrous
home.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was my reread of this that like made me rethink this scene, because I thought this scene was just her being fully hostile. But it's not until the end that she just fully gives up this level of just go home. I'm done like talking to you. And also I think it's just she is so baffled that she's been so rude to him this whole time and he still cares. She's like, why are you still here?
A valid question.
And she doesn't understand it. Another
True.
question of like why Feyre is still there.
Yeah.
Why are you still here when I've been nothing but rude to you?
It's like an overall question of literally, why does anyone care about Nesta, right? And she's wondering that too.
And even, oh my god, he's such a good man. Because even with all the shit, he still was like, she's been through a lot, and he still had sympathy. Ugh, he's my boy, okay? Like, this makes me mad. Because he also threw his gift in the river, and I was thinking, what was that gift? I'm never gonna know it.
He threw it hard enough to break the ice, and it's probably at the bottom of the Sidra.
And I think what's also better about that scene is the fact that we get Nesta's POV POV at the end, which I didn't think was going to happen.
No.
And it's all about, you know, her literal depression, her having like 4 locks on the door, and, you know, how she doesn't like the firewood because it sounds like cracking necks.
Specifically reminding her of the trauma.
I said the girl needs therapy.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people need therapy, but they don't
Yeah.
really have therapy in this world.
Therapy then. I know.
You know what's so funny about that, Jenny? You said that the last couple times in Frost and Starlight, there's especially in the first edition book that Sarah made, she had an interview with somebody, and she literally said that in her interview. She was just like, "Yep, how do you write a book when none of these people, like, they all need therapy, but there is no therapy that exists?" She literally wrote it in the interview.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
I think that in book 1 too, like, or
Mhm.
maybe book 2. I can't remember now. It was like, I
It
guess
was
it was 2. Like, yeah, it was 2. Like after, so Pharaoh went through this horrible experience, and of course she's super like fucked up, and like, girl needs some therapy to deal with this trauma.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's also good getting her perspective because it kind of sets up Silver Flame like that in terms of where this is going and how she just, it literally ends with her just sliding down the wall and in a ball and on herself.
And still, Cassian made sure she got home.
Did, yeah. What a good man.
And he's very interested in her.
God damn it.
But yeah, so I guess we'll leave them to their drama. We'll just go back to the other couple that we know. And we're finally back at fucking cabin.
Yay!
The fucking cabin or the fucking cabin.
What a
however you wanna say
romantic
it.
thing. What a romantic but feral scene.
A solstice night. For once, they didn't kick everyone out of the townhouse because everyone was staying there. They decided to go to their own place. Before we get into the spicy scene, the fun scene, of course, they have to have an emotional talk first.
Because it's just their nature.
That's kind of how they do it, you know. Anyway, so you know, Feyre talks about she tells Rhys that she wants to have a child. Sorry, brain stopped working. What did you think about like just that emotional talk that they had, where Rhys is like, "Wait, you're serious?"
So my thought is, why now? Because there's still like some, I mean, there's always stuff going on, but like there's still some stuff going on for them, and she's still so young, and they already said earlier, like she didn't want to rush into it because they have so much like time, and that, like especially the high fae don't have a lot of children anyway. So that's what goes through my brain is like, why now?
If my answer is a level of like, because the high fae children take so long, that if they're starting now, that means it's going to take like fucking years for them to actually even have one. That it takes a long time, like decades even, to have one. So it's like even getting into the process of doing so could take a while.
Especially when they, you know, things are unresolved with the queens and the dark sorcerer, if that ends up being a thing. You know, they don't know if they could die the next day, kind of what you were saying.
Which, if one of them dies, the other dies.
That's true.
That's what's fucked about that, because they made a bargain at the end of ACOTAR that said if one of them goes, the other one goes.
It's supposed to be sweet, but the more I think about it, it's so stupid.
Well, now that I think about it, that whole like widow scene, right? That wouldn't even happen because like the kid would just grow up an orphan.
Yeah. How?
Oh God.
So supposed to be sweet, but really it was just stupid.
But sorry,
Yeah.
Mom, I didn't let you finish.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, I think talking to that widower hit her harder than I think she realized. And yeah, granted, it's going to take forever. Supposedly, I'm using air quotes here. Because, you know, since these guys are our main people, they're going to get pregnant right off. You know that's coming. I mean, you know, it's just, that's going to happen. But I also think she's ready. I think Feyre is ready for the next step with him. I think she is. And I think that, you know, it's time, she's saying it's time for her. And it's time to let her sisters, bless them, you know, maybe take on some more responsibility, you know, let her maybe step back a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it was just like, I just thought, well, shit, you know, she talked to that lady, here you go. Tomorrow's not given for either, well, technically for either one of them, but I don't know.
You brought up a good point though, because that is also another theme in this is of like Moore and even others are telling her to step back from, you know, don't care about, or not care, but, you know, step away from Lucian and Elaine. Like, that's not your business. Like, just step aside, let them do it. And then even with Nesta and Cassian, they had the same thing. So it's her taking a step back and dealing with her own stuff. And this is how she wants to pursue her life. And so,
Mhm.
how long is it going to take them to have a child? Is her being made going to make her more susceptible to get pregnant or less susceptible? I think I'm right with Mom, though. If they're main people, they're going to get it earlier.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's usually what happens is the ones, oh yeah, it's going to take you 17,000 centuries or whatever it's going to be, and tomorrow, boom, she's pregnant. You know what I mean? It's weird like that stuff.
Mhm.
But I also think that she's been trying to keep things together for so long, she doesn't know how to let it go. And I think this is kind of her way of letting things go. So she's not in everybody's business. I think. Granted, some of them need some serious help. Yes, they all need therapy.
Yeah.
But Jesus, she needs to get the hell away from her sisters, man. I'm serious. Just, let them go.
I mean, maybe having a baby will just let her focus on that instead of them.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus. I don't think I ever will.
Okay, so anyway, getting back on track.
Sex.
Yep.
Sex.
That's the next topic. So they decide to start their baby making process right now. And what better way to do that than some wall sex? That makes the pictures fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't we include a mental fuck too?
That was
That was a mind fuck.
Mm-hmm.
that was so weird, but also so interesting.
It's like only something Sarah would come up with. I don't know. Anyway, so thoughts on that, on this wild sex scene.
I'm trying to think.
Can I say something to you specifically? I knew as soon as we got this scene in particular, I was like, there's no flowery terms. It's like all literal. It's all just, and I was like, be prepared.
They got all the emotions out of the way. They've already had their first super emotional sex scene, and now this is just plain old sex. Baby making sex.
So it's like, here's for Jenny, here's the non-flowery.
No hooks of her thighs.
Nah.
They're not focusing on that.
As I recall, I did think it was a relatively short sex scene, though, compared to cabin one or the in one.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, the in one and the cabin.
Only 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think there was more description on the powers making love thing than I had to read that scene over again because I was like, what is happening there? I was like, okay, so they're having sex in their mind, but also their powers are intermingling.
His darkness caressed her ice.
Or yeah, he licked her ice or something like that, and I was like,
that's a bit weird.
I was like, okay, to each their own. I think before you guys get your thoughts, I think that if I'm thinking just out loud right now, I think the reason of that was kind of them fully having sex with each. It was supposed to be philosophical, okay, now we're finally, every part of us has been together and combined in some sort of way, mind, power, and soul and body and whatever. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I don't remember this one very much, and there was
it's good. Well, Mom, did you have thoughts while Jenny gets hers together?
I mean, I was like, I'm like you, I had to read that. Even when I first read it, I had to go back and reread it because it was like, what the hell did I just read? What happened here? What is this? And then it was like, oh, I get it. So it's like, I think her telling him, yes, I want to have a baby with you, that did it.
Yeah.
It's like, so now we can be fully together as one. Every aspect of our being as one.
Yeah.
It was weird. It literally was a mind fuck because it was like, the hell did I read? And even on my reread again, it was like I had to reread my reread because it was like, huh?
Well,
the space floaty and all that. It's like, I mean, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. And it has a meaning. I get it. But it was just weird. The whole thing was just bizarre.
It's weird, the whole idea of she's getting fucked, right? And then she sees in his mind, so she feels his feelings of fucking her. And then she's also seeing herself get fucked.
Yeah.
It's like it's all over the place. It's like, what the hell is happening?
They got a little kinky there in terms of the exhibition.
About that.
I mean, literally, they were everywhere. And it was just, you don't really get to see that or read that. Or if you're listening to the audiobook, I guess, listen to something like that. It's not something you come across very very often in a book where they're so into each other and so dissolved like that. Oh yeah, they dissolved in a puddle, or they were so wet, or whatever the hell it is. This thing was just wow. Okay.
The only reason I was hyped was because I was like, okay, finally we're getting this wall scene that
She's promised us.
she has been teasing for like 2 books now. It's like, I was promised a wall, and I'm like, yes, a wall scene.
Yes.
Or the shoes fell off.
I feel the same way.
Here's the problem about being a plus size woman. You're never going to get fucked up against a wall.
Okay, let me.
At least not like lifted kind of fucked.
I gotta get a bodybuilder.
The guy on my screensaver.
So, but okay,
I think he probably could.
Can I just say that's why these scenes, okay, and I said this in our episode, and maybe this will make more sense to y'all, but like, especially as plus size girls, but like, I think that's why I like fantasy, but in like a weird way, there's a level of a suspension of disbelief that because like they're extremely strong dudes, like the size of a girl doesn't matter. And so there's, it always, especially when reading this as I was younger, made me feel a little better about myself because the size of somebody never really did matter because they were just extremely, whether it's a vampire or a werewolf or a fae, but like, especially in these books, not even just the idea of like being put in sexual positions, but it was like the idea of being romantically bridal carried or, being held up against a wall or just like held in midair. Like those kind of things was never in real life are not very common thing. And so, especially when you see, oh God, I'm going to get emotional for a second. When seeing couples and then seeing like, super skinny girls being able to do shit that, and it's just like, there was a self-loathing part of me that's like, nah, I'm never going to be able to do that. Like, unless, like Mom said, I get some fucking big ripped dude with, and so I don't know, the idea of skinny Rhysand, which he's muscled, but not like tired, but the idea that it doesn't matter makes me feel a little better.
And I feel like that's such a thing, unfortunately, in real life too, that like plus size women hardly ever get lifted. Recently there's a trend on TikTok basically where you're like lifting your partner up on your shoulder or whatever. And like there are very few plus size women doing it, but then whenever there are and they actually get lifted, like there's so much joy on their faces.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that's my thing about like romance tropes, right? Is like there's sort of this, and I said it like in the first book of like, all the dudes have big dicks and like, and so one thing I do like about the sex in the series is that the women's pleasure is centered. I love that a lot. They don't treat oral sex as like less than, like it's definitely like centered in all of the scenes, and I love that. So I like that. But it would be so great. Like, can you imagine having like a plus size heroine and like what sex looks like for her? Or even like plus size skin dude, right? Like what does sex look like with bigger people, Like it can still be amazing, and it's just not like what you see in like movies and what's described like getting fucked up against a wall, like, which sounds amazing. And you can do it like in some ways. There are like sex swings and like other ways that you can do similar things.
There are
which is also amazing, but like there's so much opportunity for plus size people to see themselves in hot fucking romance.
Well, Crescent City has a plus size.
Okay.
She's plus size, right, Mom?
Yeah. I'm keeping quiet. Quiet.
You're allowed.
I'm not allowed to give spoilers.
Yeah, but this is spoiler. Okay.
Can I be honest about I, as a plus size person, I never thought of having sex against the wall. I don't really, if somebody's going to toss somebody around, it's going to be me tossing around. Okay. I'm sorry.
Damn.
You should just see the look on your dad's face. Right. He's not getting the whole conversation here. He's just getting me tossing around. But, and I'm being serious. I don't know. I never thought about it. That doesn't appeal to me. It really doesn't. And I don't know why. It's always been just the way I am. And I'm dead serious. If somebody's going to be tossing somebody, it's going to be me tossing him where I want him to be. I know. I'm sorry, Tabitha. That's not what you want to hear your mom say. I apologize to you and your
payback for like having you guys listen to the podcast where I talk about my prep. So it's
your future therapy that you're going to need after hearing me say that. But I'm sorry. No, that's just me. I don't think about it, and I don't know.
Can you imagine like a sex scene in like a romance where the protagonist is like, "Oh my god, he totally wanted me to go against the wall, but I was like, I don't feel balanced."
Yeah.
And then, like, she can't enjoy it because she's uncomfortable and like insecure and not feeling like. That's why it's sexy, right? Like that a like dude is so strong that he can like hold her and do what he wants to do with her. That's what's sexy, right? Is like being not having to worry about those things. But the fact is, like, like with partners, you have to figure out what works for your bodies, right? Like whatever that is, and that's what sex is, like figuring out slowly, like what works and how, So, but we just don't get to see we just see like the usual
Normal people.
right?
Because
And
not
like
everybody's slot A goes in slot B the same way. Some people have more of A and less of B, and you got to figure out how to maneuver yourself where you need to be, and that's part of the fun of it. But yeah,
it is the fun of it, but like all we see in movies is like the ripping off the shirt and going into the room and then being pressed up against the door and then and you're just like
I guess
So,
yeah.
I always considered it when I started reading these kind of scenes in books is like up against the wall, like never meant like being actually lifted up against the wall off the ground. Like I was thinking, either chest up against the wall still standing or, a single leg up or something.
up against the wall is really fucking hot. Even if there's no intercourse, right? There's no penetration over it. You can just like to be like held up against a wall, like that's really hot.
Exactly. So it's like up against a wall, like typically includes like all of those things for me. And so then when, I don't know, sometimes when people jump straight to they're lifted up, they're hoisted against the wall.
Because that's what we see in movies.
A bit of a shock because it's in the movies, but it's like, okay, but that's not my thought of it because there's so much else you could do against a wall.
Yes, true.
Okay. She likes the idea of makeouts against the wall.
I mean, yeah.
He said like the chest pushed up, and I was just like, yes. Okay, can I just say the last thing I want to say about the sex scene, which oh my god, I think it's also a difference in age, and I think it's also a difference in experience. Like we're the two most probably unexperienced people in like vicinity, so it's like the level of thought process that goes into something like this is gonna be like, of course the idea of that is hot because of course the idea of anything would be hot. Like it's so. And then if you have somebody who has had experience, like you two who are both married individuals who have been with somebody for a long time.
With children.
There's a level of like, of course, maybe the reality breaking or like having the funny moment of, oh, this isn't going to be sexy would be a little bit more appealing. It's just... I definitely think it's a difference in experience.
No, that's true. And I mean, you're right. Anything would be hot. And
just give us anything at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. To tell you that what you see on TV and movies is so unrealistic.
Yeah,
I almost never see a realistic sex scene, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's just flat bullshit. You can't say it any other way.
The truth is somewhere between those things.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the I won't go in.
Making out against the wall, like that part in the movie, like that's actually real. Like one of my favorite sex scenes actually in movies is like there was a Jason Sudeikis movie called Sleeping with Other People, and like there's like this huge like sexual tension thing, and like they end up like he and this other character end up like the typical like go into the apartment, slam the door, make out against the wall. But that just the making out against the wall, and then they end up on the floor, which also realistic. Ending up on the floor is realistic. Like that was really fucking hot.
Yeah, I think they did that too, didn't they? They ended up on the floor.
I think so.
After
their next round.
So
anyway.
I appreciate hearing your guys' thoughts about it though, because it's, I don't know, talking about them is interesting because it's, especially in literature. So, because to me, it's more than just like, being like, oh my God, because there's part of it that's that. And then there's a part of me dissecting it and being like, all right. So kind of the ending where, because we talked a lot about Fei-San's potential child, what you guys thought about that with the bone carver, but I wanted to see what your highlights were about where everyone's going, because kind of the brief explanation is, Feyre and Rhysand, they're going to be, Feyre has done her studio thing. She is going to be helping children, the whole Racina partnership, and even with the Weaver about having her art studio for children for free. They have Rhysand bought her the river house so that they can fucking have a badass. Having a plot of land so that she could build her own house on.
Making her build her own house.
For all their families, since the townhouse got too small. And then there's more being sent to continent for diplomatic political purposes, which could be interesting. We got Cassian and sort of Azrael, but more Cassian dealing with the Illyrian threat / Nesta. Nesta being her dealing with what she's going to, and then of course Elaine and Lucia. Isaac. So overall, I just wanted to see where you thought everyone was going and what specifically of those people that you thought would be interesting to see going forward.
I thought that more got sent away because she is, I won't say comic relief, but like how she interacts with everybody is really interesting because she has a relationship with everybody, and each one of those relationships is unique, and I really enjoy that. So like not having her present kind of bums me out, and then like the tidying up of Rhys and Feyre and their manor house, and like I don't know, it just seems so domestic. And I know that's like kind of what they want, but meanwhile, like there's still all this stuff going on, and like Feyre's like super fucking powerful and stuff. So putting her sort of on the shelf and in the background feels kind of, I won't say lame exactly, but like I don't know. Yeah,
I think more getting an opportunity to get the hell out of there is going to be good for her. And she needs that. She needs to be away, especially with Eris there. She needs this. And maybe she'll get off her ass and tell people who she really is, which still makes me mad. And I think that Feyre and Rhys kind of stepping back a little bit gives the other characters a chance to grow, and so we get to see them more of an opportunity to see, you know, Nesta form into whatever the hell she's going to be. Elaine, you know, it gives us a chance to see them more. But I also think that if they really need Feyre and Rhys, they'll be there. If the threat becomes something they can't, you know, they'll still be there. You know, they're still going to be training her and what have you and all that stuff. Just they're not going to be the main focus anymore. And I'm kind of sad about that. But I'm also kind of happy in a way for them too. They deserve a chance to take a break.
Some domesticness.
Yeah.
I kind of want to push on what you said though about, I think this book also did a good job of setting up that Feyre is still training. Like they threw that in a couple times that she's still flying with Azrael and she's Rhys is still teaching her magic, and you know on occasions she still meets up with Kat. So it's like she's not becoming weak in her powers, but I do think that agreeing with Jenny in a regard about her being pushed off to the side and not getting put up front is, I think, the reason why Mom's saying what she is about the other characters getting their. It's like now Rhys and Feyre are kind of the OG, so because they know their powers so well, even though Feyre still has a lot to go. Like we haven't even basically, I feel like, scratched the surface of probably what she could be able to do. But I think it's gonna come out in time with the other stuff going on. I don't know. I can understand. I think that's why this book is kind of, there's a level of, how do I say, memorial. I don't want to, because she's not dying, but it's the idea that it's not going to be just her and Rhys anymore. We're not going to get their perspective as much, and we're not going to be like, so there's a level of sadness to not seeing her as much. But again, she's always going to be there. It's just we've been with her this whole time, so it's going to be a weird shift, but also I'm not against it.
We just won't know her exact thoughts anymore.
No.
Yeah, but like it kind of makes her like matronly. The whole thing makes her matronly and not the protagonist she was before. And like, unless they can figure out how to bring those two things together.
Is it, again, I'm not trying to push you into an answer, but it's like, is that bad? Because I think she kind of wants to be a matronly person. Like, I guess there's nothing wrong with her still being the protagonist of her own story, but in other people's perspectives in their story, she's going to be a different stereotype or a different type character. Like, to most of the others, she is going to be the matriarchal figure because she is the high lady amongst them.
I mean, and even with us being in Feyre's perspective, you know, she did spend most of her time with Rhys anyway. Like, only on a few occasions did she interact with the others, if you're thinking about like frequency of her interactions with the others. So it would make sense that if we were in those other people's perspectives, that we wouldn't see as much Feyre.
That's true.
I'm not trying to push you or goad you in an answer. I think it's just...
I get what you're saying. Like, it's not just because somebody chooses to go, you know, to change the focus of their life. People are allowed to change the focus of their life. I'm not saying like, there's both sides of it, but also it's kind of a trope, like when somebody becomes a mother, that they're not a warrior anymore.
Like I was saying earlier. Yeah, I mean, I don't, at least right now, and like, at least from what I know, I don't think she's getting thrown into that role. I think, God, it's hard, because Silver Flame, it's so, I think, okay. What can I say and what can I not say? I think the reason that, at least in this upcoming book, she's not going to be as prominent is because Nesta doesn't see her as prominent. So, at least until in certain moments. I think that's intentional on Sarah's part, because, at least from what I've read of it, it seems because Feyre is that shadow to Nesta, her, whatever you're going to say, whether she's the, her constant reminder that she's a failure, or the constant, like, jealousy maybe that she has of Feyre, that she has all these friends and she's powerful and she has control
and she has a mate,
and or like whatever beacon it is for her, is that she doesn't want Feyre in her coming of age question, or coming of age quotation marked story.
Okay,
so she's not as prominent.
Okay,
But that's my opinion of it, because I think that makes complete sense on Sarah's part for making it third person. It's like, okay, like Feyre is kind of the lordly over person who, you're right in saying matriarchal, because especially
now that she's High Lady,
there's a level of, I don't say she's above Nesta, but there is a level she is in terms of rank,
and she kind of is acting like that too. That's
judging her a lot,
right?
And she's just like, who are you to judge me? I'm the oldest. She's like sitting there and fucking drunk off her ass. Like, she's like, who are you to say anything to me? And then she's sitting there like all high and mighty and like, no, you need to get help. And she's like, no.
And Feyre's like, well, I don't want to like use my High Lady order, but if I have to,
I will.
So it is new to her.
But since you guys have already, if you wanted to say any other comment before end of this book, Mom, your thoughts as well about what did you think was going to happen for Silver Flame? Because knowing that it was going to be Nesta's book, what did y'all think of what was going to happen after reading this one before you know what happens?
So it's clear that like there's still like some stuff to work out between Nesta and Cassian still going on, and it's also not clear what's going on with Elaine. Like Elaine seems to be recovered somewhat, like she's not like catatonic anymore. So what's her deal? Those are kind of the main things in terms of like big overall plot. I mean, like the whole Feyre and Rhysand baby thing, that'll be a thing. And like I said, like, is this the baby that they think it's gonna be or not?
Right.
And what does that mean? Key thoughts, rolling myself back to going into the next.
I was hoping that Nesta would finally get her shit together. Whatever she's going to turn out to be, I really had hoped that in the coming book, she would be the best version of her that she was going to be, And I mean, I realized she's got a long, long way to go to get there. She really does. And I think, Cassian being there and, her, whatever's going to happen there, which we obviously know there's a lot of tension there, but I really had hoped they would get together. I really did. The Rhys, and Feyre baby thing, if it happened in the next book, it was going to happen. I mean, but for me, the biggest thing was hoping Nesta was able to pull herself together. That's what I was hoping would happen.
And see how that would progress.
Yeah, and see how far she had to go, how far she had to fall before she would,
hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I think I was most interested to see about the potential new threat, because it's like the other books, there was a level of, oh, it's Hybern, and then we're getting to Hybern, like Mist and Fury, we knew it was Hybern, and then at the end of ACOTAR it was Hybern, and it's like I wanted to know what the new bad was going to be, or what this potential threat to this world that would create these next 3 books would be. I was like, what's going to happen that's going to cause it to be catastrophic and lead us? What's the new propeller of the plot here? I was excited to see what that was going to be, as well as the romance.
Oh, Nesta and the Queen. That's what I wanted to see too. Nesta get a hold of the queens, the human queens. That's what. Yeah.
I will say, I went through this with Mom, and I do remember this very vividly. That she's like, I want Nesta to burn them all. She's like, I want Nesta to kill all the queens as we were going into Silverfang.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember, the queens were the ones that betrayed the sisters.
True. And Ianthe.
Yeah, but she's
what the hell?
She should die over again, but it's fine. I mean, honestly, I've already, I've said this before, but I think like at this time when I was finishing this book, my main thing was I just really wanted to see Cassian finally get something from Nesta. Because he's such a sweet guy and he's nice. He's nice
and badass.
He's badass. He's a great warrior, but like he's like being so kind and she's being such a bitch, and it's just like, okay, but I still see the tension. Can we figure some of this out? And yeah, I was curious about what was going to happen with Beans. So
yeah, definitely about this.
Well, exciting. I am so happy. This was again, like, I know some people can have an opinion about this book, but I actually think it was actually pretty monumental to me. I also had this book before Silver Flame came out, which you guys didn't have to deal with. Me and Mom did. So we had since about, me and Mom both did. I made her do the SJM full journey before Silver Flame came out, and so Mom had to deal with that question as me.
I remember hearing, because we were friends at that point before Silver Flame came out. But you were so excited when Silver Flame was come out. You're like, I've been waiting this for 2 years.
Yeah, there's still supposed to be more books after Silver Flame.
Yeah, the next one comes out what, February?
No, it doesn't come out. It gets announced in January.
I didn't consent to read a story that wasn't finished yet.
Neither did I, Jenny. Neither did I. And here I am.
Well, there's more to go. There's like 15 other books to go.
But
it's brutal.
Oops. Well, not as bad as that old guy, but
yeah, true.
But yeah, so our plan for next season is, I know we already told you this, but also telling the audience again, because Silver Flame is such a beast, we're gonna do a half and half situation because there's so much plot and there's so much shit that goes on in like Silver Flame. So we're gonna split our mom and dad's episodes into half and half. So we'll do the first part of the book and then the second part of the book. So we have to, it was actually Mom's idea because she said something last time we did the last season. She's like, yeah, we need to cut that.
We were rushing ACOTAR so much in that episode.
And I wanted to have time to actually go through it because it's also an important emotional book too.
Yeah,
so
a lot to dive through.
But I want to thank you guys for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Thanks for having
me. Me too. Thank you.
So I'm going to go into my outro now. So thank you guys all for watching. This is the end of season 4. Oh my God. Season 4, about to go into season 5. It's a little surreal, and I want to thank everybody who has watched and who has participated in all of this. So like my dad, our moms, Madison, and all of our voice acting guests so far. We have so much to plan for. We actually do have confirmed Cassian and Nesta from the graphic audio are going to be interviews next season, which I'm so hyped about.
Yeah. Yes. We both accepted actually really quickly.
I want to talk to John so bad.
Yeah, John, what's his last name? Vertulo?
John has a sexy laugh. This is unfair.
John Vertulo voices Cassian, and then Natalie Von Sistine.
Yeah, she also has a badass fucking name.
She totally matches Nesta's voice.
Oh yeah, she does. She's perfect. So I'm excited to get into this with you guys. I think it's probably the most hyped book, and also it deserves the hype, I think. Because sometimes a book can get overhyped a little bit, and I think it does it justice.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to dive into this with you guys again. And so, yeah, we have so much to look forward to in the next season. So be on the lookout. And this will be coming out almost New Year's Day.
The 30th?
Yeah, 31st. It'll be coming on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So
and we'll start the next year with season 5.
I hope you guys stay all happy and healthy. Happy holidays, happy Christmas, however you guys celebrate. Happy Hanukkah.
All the holidays.
Happy holiday season.
Have yourself a merry little solstice.
Pagan worship, if you're into that. Please follow our TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all that. But please follow our Patreon. We got a new Patreon Inner Circle member. So excited. Her name is Lucy. So thank you so much.
Welcome, Lucy.
Welcome to And so we just have so much more good times to go on. So please keep following us, and we'll see you guys all in the next season. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Damn it. She did it the same way you did.
I know.